Chapter 163. Ketchisu looked at his broken wrist and saw blood spurting out non-stop. He was stunned on the spot. Then, he felt an intense pain assaulting him. Ah! His pained roar echoed throughout Guanxi town. Bang! The roar stopped abruptly as Li Zongjio punched the back of Ketchisu's head. Ketchisu's body fell to the ground, his head hitting the ground. Another saber slashed down. His two calves were cut off by Li Zongjio. Blood is flowing. Ketchisu didn't expect that he would fall in such a remote town. However, Ketchisu did not give up hope. It was just a severed arm and leg. As long as he was given time, he could recover. There was something called the resurrection silkworm chrysalis. It could even revive a dead person. Its power was incomparably miraculous. However, the premise was that Ketchisu had to be alive to prepare the resurrection silkworm chrysalis. If you kill me, everyone in this town will die. They have all been poisoned by my soul-devouring chrysalis. Ketchisu used the last of his strength to shout out the last sentence. He was worried that Li Zongjio did not know anything and directly chopped off his head. If that happened, everyone in the town would die. However, this had nothing to do with him because he was already dead. Nothing was more important than being alive. Oh. Soul-devouring chrysalis? Sorry, I just happen to know how to break it. Li Zongjio sneered. This sentence caused Ketchisu to sink into an ice cave. He fell into the endless ice. What did he mean by, you just happen to know how to break it? These Gu techniques were the most secretive methods of their tribes. Ordinary people would not have the opportunity to learn them. This Li Zongjio, this young man in front of him, actually knew how to break these Gu techniques. These tribes that were hidden in the extinct mountain range had yet to come out on a large scale. Most of the time, they were only carrying out some secret activities. Even the appearance and use of Gu techniques were extremely rare. The outside world did not know anything about their tribes. Breaking Gu techniques was 10 times more difficult than planting Gu techniques. This is impossible, impossible, Ketchisu murmured. However, Li Zongjio directly threw Ketchisu, who had lost his arms and legs, into a water tank nearby. He casually threw out an elixir. The elixir entered the water and immediately formed an elemental energy liquid to ensure that Ketchisu's life would not end so quickly. The poisonous insects on the ground. Li Zongjio first went to Li Tianqing's room to check on Li Tianqing and the others. Soul-devouring chrysalis. Li Zongjio said in his heart. Beside Li Tianqing and Shen Xinxiao's pillows, there was a small blue bug. Shen Shen's chrysalis like a fly. Everyone in the Shen family was unconscious. It could be seen that the entire city was deathly silent. If Li Zongjio had returned a little later, the entire Guanxi town would have been controlled by this Gu master. Everyone would have sacrificed their flesh and blood to become the habitat for these insects. This was a very vicious method. They actually dared to commit such atrocities. The people of the southern tribes were too bold. There were at least tens of thousands of people in Guanxi town. If such a thing happened and all of them were used to refine Gu, this kid's fate would probably be very miserable. The dynasty would absolutely not allow such a thing to continue. The way to break the soul-devouring chrysalis was to control Ketchisu's mental strength. Then, use Ketchisu's mental strength to control these insects and make them walk out again. Of course, if Ketchisu was willing to do it himself, that would naturally be the best. However, Li Zongjio would not trust an enemy. When he saw Li Zongjio appear in front of him, Ketchisu no longer had the strength to raise his head. He just hung there powerlessly, looking like he was waiting for death. Li Zongjio slapped Ketchisu awake. Look at my eyes. When Li Zongjio's voice fell, Ketchisu could not help but raise his head and look into Li Zongjio's eyes. When he saw Li Zongjio's pupils, Ketchisu felt like he had fallen into an endless black hole. Buzz! There was an explosion in his mind. Li Zongjio's mental strength smoothly invaded. The mental strength turned into a white chess piece and directly invaded Ketchasu's mind. Then, he found that the white chess piece was actually involuntarily devouring Ketchasu's mental strength. This white god Fu actually has the effect of devouring mental strength. Li Zongjiu was also shocked. This effect was surprising, but now was not the time to care about it. When Li Zongjiu's mental strength occupied Ketchasu's mental world, he found that this kid was actually hiding a shocking and vicious plan. At the same time, he also understood that this kid was just a bait that the southern tribe had released to scout ahead. The real poison sect had yet to take shape. It was still brewing. So, the poison sect of the southern tribe has yet to take shape. Then, I'll strangle you in the cradle. This might be the advantage of being reborn. There was no need to wait for things to really happen to deal with them. He could directly get rid of them before they took shape. Of course, he needed to have enough strength to do so. This information only flashed through Li Zongjiu's mind. Gather all the soul-devouring insects. This was an extremely difficult process. It could only be done with a strong mental strength. Otherwise, the coverage of the soul-devouring insects would not be able to continue expanding, and the situation would become extremely bad. During the process of summoning, Li Zongjiu's mental strength was rapidly consumed. Some soul-devouring insects had already quickly crawled out. But now, they had only covered less than 1/10 of the area. It could guarantee that the Shen family's people would recover. Although Li Zongjiu was not a saint, he was not a saint. But under the circumstances, Li Zongjiu would try his best to save as many people as possible. White Dragon Original Spirit. Li Zongjiu summoned his original spirit. The appearance of the White Dragon Original Spirit also increased Li Zongjiu's mental strength. The coverage also gradually expanded. Soul-devouring insects crawled out of nearly half of the area. But suddenly, Ketchasu's mental strength rapidly withered. Li Zongjiu knew that Ketchasu was about to die. His mental strength had already begun to dissipate. Charge! I haven't let you die yet. Li Zongjiu's palm hit Ketchasu's body. That terrifying power suddenly surged out. The Yuan power immediately rushed into Ketchasu's body. Ketchasu, whose aura was about to dissipate, once again raised his spirit. At this moment, Li Zongjiu also released his mental energy, which had soared. Buzz! Li Zongjiu's mental strength suddenly disappeared when it was released. Li Zongjiu had already done his best for this wave of energy. 9/10. There are still 1/10 of the people who have not been covered. Li Zongjiu could not help but clench his fists. In Guanxi town, there were at least thousands of lives that could not be saved. Ketchasu was already dead. All the summoned soul-devouring insects. They all gathered in the Shen family's courtyard. Li Zongjiu directly burned these soul-devouring insects with fire. Southern tribe, wait for your death. Li Zongjiu slowly said. Just as Li Zongjiu heaved a sigh of relief, he suddenly remembered something. Just now, when he invaded Ketchasu's mental strength, he also learned from Ketchasu's memory. His uncle, Shen Nanxiao, who was still in the Guardian Mansion, was implanted with blood-poisonous insects. Not good. The blood-poisonous insects have not been removed. Chapter 164. It was the blood-poison bug that was planted in Shen Nanxiao's body. It had the same effect as the blood-poison bug that Li Zongjiu had stomped to death in the morning. Normally, it would hide in the body and would not have any effect. However, the body would gradually be controlled by the blood poison bug. When its poison was integrated into the body's blood, it would become the final puppet. But now that Ketchasu was dead, there would be no one to control the puppet. In this way, Shen Nanxiao could only pray for his own fortune. He might even become a free puppet, killing wherever he went. Sooner or later, he would lose his mind. Li Zongjiu entered the guardian residence. On the ground, he could still see some bugs running away. Their master was dead. These bugs' ability to survive was actually very low. After all, these insects needed someone to take care of them. If there was no one to take care of them, they would die very quickly. Even some of their natural enemies would be able to easily kill them. Can't find him. Li Zongjiu came to the guardian residence, but he did not see Shen Nanxiao's figure. According to Kecha Su's memory, Shen Nanxiao should be here. As for Li Zongjiu's mental power, it was completely exhausted when he saved them. Now, he needed some time to slowly recover before he could use it again. Li Zongjiu looked around the guardian residence, but he did not see Shen Nanxiao's figure. Suddenly, Li Zongjiu thought of something and quickly rushed back to the Shen residence. Ah! Save me! Just as Li Zongjiu returned to the Shen residence, he heard a scream. It was Shen Yi. Li Zongjiu immediately chased in the direction of the scream. When Li Zongjiu flew to the top of the roof, he saw a five-colored elk tangling with a person below. Shen Yi was very scared and shrank to the side, as if she was extremely afraid of the person in front of her. And the person who attacked Shen Yi just happened to be Shen Nanxiao. The blood poison bug needed to completely control Shen Nanxiao. It needed to make Shen Nanxiao lose his mind. That was why Shen Nanxiao had come to find Shen Yi and wanted to kill her. The blood poison bug read the subconscious hidden in Shen Nanxiao's heart. The five-colored elk was a spirit beast and could protect Shen Yi. After it noticed that Shen Nanxiao's condition was not right, it also came to protect Shen Yi. He continued to charge forward, blocking Shen Nanxiao outside. It seemed that Shen Yi had not been invaded by the soul-devouring worms. Otherwise, she would not have woken up so quickly. Li Zongjiu also saw the corpse of a bug beside Shen Yi's feet. It was trampled to death by the five-colored elk. However, the five-colored elk did not seem to be able to stop Shen Nanxiao, who was in a berserk state. Shen Nanxiao leaped up, grabbed the five-colored elk, and flung it to the side. The five-colored elk rolled to the side with a bang and was sent flying. When facing these wild animals, the instincts of a hunter were more than enough. "Father, what's wrong with you?" Shen Yi had no way out. She curled up in the corner. Compared to her own safety, she was more worried about why her father had become like this. He had become so crazy and irritable. He did not look like her father at all. When would his father change back to how he used to be? Shen Nanxiao's eyes were bloodshot. The five-colored elk was heavily injured and could not get up. Then, Shen Nanxiao leaped up and charged towards Shen Yi. Boom! Shen Yi cried out and closed her eyes. However, she heard a loud bang. Shen Nanxiao's body was sent flying. Shen Yi could not help but open her eyes. She immediately saw a figure blocking in front of her. Even if she only saw a pair of feet, Shen Yi already knew the identity of the person who came. Cousin Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu turned around and glanced at Shen Yi. The little girl's panicked face also revealed a smile and a look of surprise. Shen Yi was surprised and at the same time, her eyes widened. Cousin Zongjiu, my father has gone crazy. As soon as Shen Yi's voice fell, Shen Nanxiao once again rushed toward Li Zongjiu. Although Shen Nanxiao was Li Zongjiu's uncle. But now, Li Zongjiu had no choice but to make a move. Sorry, uncle. Li Zongjiu clenched his fists. When Shen Nanxiao rushed over, he took the lead and punched Shen Nanxiao's head. Bang! Shen Nanxiao's body stopped. His eyes seemed to have recovered a moment of clarity. However, his body involuntarily went limp and he fainted on the ground. Your father has been poisoned. Thank Hua, otherwise you would have died. Li Zongjiu said. The five-colored elk struggled to get up and return to Shen Yi's side. Shen Yi touched the elk with heartache. Its sudden appearance was too terrifying. It's called Xiaohua. More or less. Li Zongjiu said. He also carried Shen Nanxiao and brought him to the medical hall in the Shen family's courtyard. They temporarily settled him down. At the same time, Li Zongjiu took out a few silver needles from the medical hall. Li Zongjio also dabbled in acupuncture in his previous life. However, there were too many ways to do it and it was extremely boring. Li Zongjio only knew a few superficial aspects. He temporarily used the silver needles to seal all the acupuncture points on Shen Nanxiao's body. This was to prevent the poison from spreading. At the same time, he also had to prevent the poisonous blood worm from becoming excited again. Now that the poisonous blood worm was out of control, its excitement level was also intermittent. After being excited for a while, it restrained itself. Similarly, the poisonous blood worm also needed to recover its energy. Shen Yi snuggled up with the five-colored elk and fell into a deep sleep. This night could be said to be too torturous. However, Li Zongjio frowned. It wasn't an easy task to extract the blood poison bug from his body. At the very least, Kecha Su was dead. Moreover, Kecha Su might not have the ability to remove the worm. It was impossible not to save him. In any case, he was his uncle and his mother's brother. Li Zongjio sat cross-legged on the ground. It was not until early morning when the first ray of sunlight fell on the room. The people in the town felt as if they had suddenly woken up. Li Tianqing and the others woke up. Their instincts told them that something terrible seemed to have happened last night. In the Shen family's courtyard, there were signs of a great battle everywhere. "You're awake." Li Zongjio came to Li Tianqing and the others. "Last night, our Guanxi town was attacked by a Gu master from the southern border tribe." Then, Li Zongjio told Li Tianqing and the others about what happened last night. Then, everyone came to Shen Nanxiao and looked at the unconscious Shen Nanxiao. Everyone's hearts were heavy. How could this be? "Zongjio, your uncle, can he be saved?" Shen Xinxiao saw his brother lying motionless on the bedboard. This scene was indeed somewhat frightening. Everyone's gaze was focused on Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio slowly raised his head and finally sighed. Although it was a very difficult task, Li Zongjio had no choice but to ask someone for help. "There is a way." Chapter 165. Li Zongjio did not say anything. He just said that it would take at least 5 days for him to come and go. However, Li Zongjio was not sure if he could invite him over in 5 days. During this time, no one could get close to Shen Nanxiao. Before he left, Li Zongjio gave Shen Xinxiao an elixir. It was an antidote to help Shen Chuanqiu get rid of the accumulated toxins in his body. In just one night, the things that Li Zongjio had experienced were much more than they had imagined. Previously, it was said that refining this elixir required the Thunderblood Spider King's Yuan crystal. Now that Li Zongjio was able to refine this elixir, it meant that Li Zongjio had fought with the Thunderblood Spider King last night. He simply could not believe how Li Zongjio had managed to do it. After giving instructions, Li Zongjio left. As for the stall in Guanxi town, Li Zongjio did not need to deal with it. Li Zongjio did not care about those who had died. After all, Li Zongjio had saved so many people. For them, it was already a great kindness. If anyone dared to say anything, Li Zongjio would not hesitate to tear their mouths apart. Li Zongjio spent a day on the road. This was a junction of the Blackwater Forest Ring Road. There was a passage that could lead to the exit of the Shengyan dynasty. However, in the Blackwater Forest, there were many difficulties and dangers. Although such inter-dynasty exchanges were rare, one could still gain a lot by going there once. As long as one was well prepared, one could walk out of the Blackwater Path. This path was called the Blackwater Path. The Blackwater Path extended into the Blackwater Forest for about 20 to 30 miles. There were many supply points along the way. However, on the Blackwater Path of the Blackwater Forest, there was a very mysterious place. In any other place, there would be some fights. For example, in some unscrupulous shops, there would be murders and robberies. Even the tea would be poisoned to steal the goods. Or perhaps bandits disguised themselves as merchants and robbed the inn. Such cases of black eating black, white eating black, and black eating white were common occurrences. However, there was no such thing here. This was a thatched hut. Inside the hut was a simple clinic. The identity of the owner of the clinic was a mystery. However, the most important thing was that the people in the clinic had extraordinary medical skills. No matter what illness they were suffering from, they could treat it for free. As long as one had the opportunity to bring some medicinal herbs to this person in the future, it would be fine. Most importantly, the owner of the clinic was a very beautiful girl. Although she was beautiful, she did not have the slightest arrogance. Instead, she was very down-to-earth and gave people a feeling of closeness. For these adventurers, when the girl smiled, it was already a very good pain reliever. The place connected to the Blackwater Forest was the Blackwater Forest. In the Blackwater Forest, there were countless treasures and elixirs. There were even some ruins that appeared frequently. The sudden appearance of some experts' tombs attracted countless treasure hunters. The Blackwater Forest was also called the Yuanbao Forest. Therefore, there were many people who came here to adventure. On the other side of the Blackwater Forest, there was an equally powerful behemoth that was close to the Xingyan dynasty. The Haiku dynasty. For most people, they could only live in the Xingyan dynasty for their whole life. Anyway, the Xingyan dynasty's territory was already very vast. The land was vast and rich in resources. However, for some of the top experts, although the Xingyan dynasty was big, there was still a boundary. For example, Li Zongjiu in his previous life. When he reached the level of Li Zongjiu, the evil lord, he would travel everywhere to find a way to break through. Li Zongjiu even had a high status in the Haiku dynasty. After all, people who had reached the Supreme Being realm were respected by the three dynasties. Any Supreme Being realm expert had the power to topple a dynasty. However, that was the matter of his previous life. On the Blackwater path. Because there were too many people walking on it, it gradually formed a path. On the path, there were often groups of 3 to 5 people who were dressed strangely. Some people were even riding on ferocious primordial beasts. They kept a certain distance from each other. Even if they saw each other from afar, they would choose to take a detour. They absolutely could not meet each other. Even if they really could not meet each other, they would be extremely vigilant against each other. Li Zongjiu appeared on the Blackwater path alone. When many people saw Li Zongjiu, they couldn't help but cast sidelong glances at him. After all, anyone who had the guts to come to such a place alone was either a hidden expert or a fool. If he was a fool, he would basically become a pile of bones here. It seemed that the people walking around here were all people. However, in reality, they were all wild beasts who ate people without spitting out the bones. Looking at Li Zongjiu's travel-worn appearance and the fact that he did not even have a weapon in his hand, many people still looked at Li Zongjiu's finger. There was a ring on this finger. Just from its appearance, this ring had to be the storage ring. Moreover, it seemed that the storage ring's level was not low. These storage rings were also divided into different levels. The larger the space, the more solid it was, and the more expensive it was to construct. Even if it was the size of a tower, the cost of constructing it would already be tens of millions of gold yuan coins. Even if it was converted into purple yuan, it would be in the tens of thousands. If there was nothing, then this guy's things must be in the storage ring on his finger. Li Zongjiu only wanted to walk to the nameless clinic in front of him. The memory of 3,000 years ago also made Li Zongjiu think hard about what kind of place it was. Just as Li Zongjiu was thinking about it, someone finally could not help but ask. They followed Li Zongjiu all the way and did not see any guards. Moreover, the road was unobstructed and they could see everything at a glance. At a glance, they could see that Li Zongjiu did not seem to have any friends. This was already the Blackwater Forest. Even if they killed Li Zongjiu, according to the dynasty's laws, they might not be able to get rid of him. Moreover, the dynasty did not have clear regulations in the wilderness. After all, the wilderness was too big. Even if they broke the law, what could they do? There was no time to care. A group of 4 people. One of them, who was thin and small, took the initiative to walk toward Li Zongjiu. The other 3 first scanned the surroundings and issued a warning to the people around them. One of them was draped in tiger skin and wore a hat made of tiger bones. One of them was wearing bear skin and a piece of jewelry made of bear paws hung around his neck. The other person was a woman with a scar on her face. She had sharp nails on her fingers and a mink scarf around her neck. Her long hair covered half of her face. If one only looked at the intact half of her face, this woman's beauty was not bad. Although she was slightly plump, she had the appearance of a mature woman. It's the 4 Black Inferno ghosts. It's said that they specialize in killing people who are alone. Chapter 166. Li Zongjiu already knew that someone was following behind him. However, he didn't take it to heart. Someone bumped into someone. Help, someone bumped into someone. He's the one who bumped into someone. Don't let him escape. The skinny man from the 4 Black Inferno suddenly fell to the ground. He covered his leg and rolled back and forth on the ground. Although this move was very old-fashioned, it was very effective. It was indeed a classic. Li Zongjiu originally didn't turn around to look, but he saw that person quickly walk in front of him. It was obvious that he was looking for Li Zongjiu. Brat, you bumped into my friend and you still want to leave? The man with the tiger bone hat looked at Li Zongjiu with jealousy and fierceness. He bared his teeth and roared. His majestic body gave people the feeling that he was a wild beast standing in front of them. In addition to the intimidating equipment on his body, it was likely that he would be easily frightened by the person in front of him. Li Zongjiu glanced at the person in front of him. There wasn't much fear in his eyes. This brat was actually not afraid. The man nicknamed Hu Sha was also surprised. After all, there were very few people who wouldn't be afraid when encountering such a situation. Even if you weren't afraid, you should at least show some expression, right? A ding sound rang out. Li Zongjiu flicked a gold coin and it fell towards Hu Sha. Hu Sha subconsciously caught the gold coin in his hand. In this moment of distraction, Li Zongjiu had already brushed past him. Hu Sha was left in a mess on the spot. What was the meaning of this gold coin? Was he trying to dismiss a beggar? When Hu Sha saw the gold coin, he felt that he had been greatly insulted. How was it? How much did you get? The one lying on the ground was relatively skinny, so he was called Monkey Sha. He was also the one with the most tricks. Now that he saw that Hu Sha actually made Li Zongjiu leave directly, he must have gotten something. However, when Hu Sha got up and saw that there was only 1 gold coin in Hu Sha's hand, he was instantly stunned. What was the meaning of this? 1 gold coin. Fuck. I'm going to cripple him. Without another word, the monkey demon picked up the 2 short sticks at his waist. There were some small needles hidden on the short sticks. When some people were fighting, they thought that the rod didn't have much power and directly reached out to grab it. Naturally, they would be pierced by the needle. In addition, the poison on the needle was enough to paralyze a 5th-grade master for at least 5 minutes. A strong gust of wind blew towards Li Zongjiu. Boom! Monkey Sha leaped up and launched an attack. However, in the end, he realized that his attack had missed its target. How could this be? Could it be that his eyes were playing tricks on him? Just as Hu Sha was surprised, he felt a figure standing behind him. What? Hu Sha's heart skipped a beat. The stick in his hand subconsciously swung behind him. He had to catch his opponent off guard. This strike was aimed directly at the head of the person behind him. If he was hit, he would definitely explode like a watermelon. Bang! In an instant, brain matter splattered everywhere. Blood splattered everywhere, and the shattered skull turned into bullets as it smashed towards the side, causing countless dust to fly up from the ground. A headless corpse appeared in front of Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu put down the stone in his hand. It was still stained with blood and hair. Plop! The monkey demon's body fell to the ground. The stick in his hand also rolled to the side. When Hu Sha turned around, a pool of blood splattered on his face. He couldn't help but wipe his eyes. Motherfucker, what's shooting at my face? When he opened his palm and saw that it was covered in blood, he was stunned. Then, he saw the monkey demon in front of Li Zongjiu. From Hu Sha's angle, he couldn't see that the monkey demon's head had been smashed. However, the ground in front of the monkey demon was also covered in blood. Immediately, he knew that this kid had seriously injured the monkey demon. How dare you attack after bumping into someone? I, Hu Sha, will definitely twist your head off and use it as a urinal. Hu Sha roared. Xiong Sha and Diao Sha, who were behind him, knew that the situation wasn't good. Obviously, they had to take action and fight to convince the other party. Li Zongjiu turned around. Looking at Hu Sha's eyes, Hu Sha suddenly felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His legs stiffened and he stood rooted to the ground. Bang! The two people who were about to rush forward to kill Li Zongjiu suddenly stopped in their tracks. They saw that there was a bloody hole in the left side of Hu Sha's heart. A hand reached out from the bloody hole, holding something that was beating. Thump! Thump! Even though they were separated by such a great distance, they could still feel the powerful beating of the heart. The remaining two people looked at each other. When they saw this scene, they obviously didn't dare to believe it. This must be fake. How could this be possible? Although Hu Sha looked strong, his strength was at the level of a genuine 7th grade Yuan master. A 7th grade Yuan master, in addition to his overbearing strength, was already a dangerous thing for ordinary adventurers. Hu Sha lowered his head and looked at the bloody hole in his chest. And Li Zongjiu's calm expression. This scene. The surrounding people were also watching from afar. They watched as Li Zongjiu slowly withdrew his hand from Hu Sha's chest. Soon after, Hu Sha's body emitted a loud bang. Like a mountain, it smashed into the ground. Hu Sha's eyes were wide open. He truly died with his eyes wide open. He didn't even see clearly how Li Zongjiu killed him. It was only when Li Zongjiu took out his heart that Hu Sha felt pain. He felt that Li Zongjiu was already in front of him. The gold coin in his hand was taken back by Li Zongjiu. His blood-stained hand rubbed it on Hu Sha's body. Then, he placed the gold coin back into his pocket. Li Zongjiu looked in the direction of the two people in front of him. Without saying anything, he turned around and left. In less than 5 breaths of time, 2 more corpses appeared on the ground. One was a 5th grade Yuan master, and the other was a 7th grade Yuan master. These were 2 Yuan master level experts. Just like that, they lay on the ground without moving. One of them didn't have a head, and the other didn't have a heart. As for Li Zongjiu, he walked away as if nothing had happened. When some people saw Li Zongjiu walk over, they even subconsciously hid behind him. The aura of this youth was too terrifying. With such skills, there was probably no one present who could stop him. I'll go kill him. Xiong Sha wanted to go up and fight with Li Zongjiu. However, he was grabbed by the woman beside him and slapped on the head. Are you an idiot? Can't you see that he doesn't even put us in his eyes? Chapter 167. She stared at Li Zongjiu's departing figure. The woman sucked in a deep breath of cold air. If Li Zongjiu were to walk towards them, the two of them would definitely die. They had already lost 2 people before they could even see how the other party attacked, even if they had given it their all. At most, they could only hold on for a little longer. There was no superfluous talk and he directly attacked. Such ruthlessness. How could one ignore such ruthlessness? The 4 Black Inferno demons were originally very cruel and their methods were also incomparable to that of ordinary people. However, when facing Li Zongjiu, they still paled in comparison. This was a true example of a ruthless person who did not speak much. Usually, ruthless people did not speak much. Therefore, the woman immediately knew that Li Zongjiu was not someone to be trifled with. She was already very lucky to be alive. If she continued to charge forward, she probably would not see the sun tomorrow. Where did such a young man come from? It made one curious. When the people on the road saw Li Zongjiu's figure, they shuddered and kept their distance. Along the way, Li Zongjiu's story had already been passed down by word of mouth. Almost everyone who met him would talk about what they had seen of Li Zongjiu today. This was really surprising. To think that such a person would appear on this path. Li Zongjiu followed his memory and inquired many times before he finally found the secluded courtyard hidden in the forest. This should not be the same place as before. Li Zongjiu thought. When he saw her, it should have been half a year after his family's accident. It was still early. No wonder he could not find her when he returned to the original place. Even the Blackwater Road itself had undergone some changes and was constantly changing. At this moment, there were many people lying in the courtyard of the small house in the forest. Their bodies were clean, but they were all wrapped with bandages. A strong herbal smell could be smelled from afar. But at this moment, the gate was wide open. When he saw this scene, Li Zongjiu couldn't help but frown. There was some noise coming from the room. Cut the crap. You shameless woman, swindling people all day long. Now that you've killed my little brother, you can either compensate me with money or with him, or I'll burn down your restaurant. A rough voice roared angrily. However, there was a hint of pride in his voice. The forest clinic had already become a sacred place in the hearts of many mercenaries and adventurers. Those who came and went had to be respectful because the forest clinic had once saved their lives. But today, something like this happened. A person was sent here yesterday for treatment. Originally, it was just a simple wound infection. After treating the wound and changing the medicine, it would be fine. However, when he woke up this morning, this person was actually dead. The forest clinic was originally a place to treat illnesses and save people, but now it had killed someone. Even if you saved 100 people, as long as you killed one person, you would be considered a murderer. No one would remember your kindness. Even the people from the forest clinic were clenching their fists tightly. Although their faces were filled with rage, they stammered and didn't say anything. Everyone, come and be the judge. My little brother's wound was inflamed yesterday and he came to exchange for a set of medicinal herbs. Who knew that the medical center gave him the wrong medicine? When he woke up this morning, his body was already cold. As his big brother, how can I just watch my little brother die in vain? Don't be fooled by the people in this clinic. In my opinion, they are clearly using my body as an experiment to test their medicinal formula. Anyway, if I die, I die, because they don't want to take any money. Therefore, they can use our bodies to test medicine without any scruples. Otherwise, how could my little brother die? When they heard the man in black robes roar like this, some of the people in the forest clinic were so angry that they were trembling. They couldn't wait to tear the man's mouth apart. However, when they heard the man in black robes say this, some of them suddenly remembered. That's right. I was wondering why the method she used was different from what I've seen. So this is the reason. That's right. I also feel that my wound is strange. Could they have used some forbidden medicine to overdraft our potential? Otherwise, how could it heal so quickly? Some of the people who were there to treat their injuries thought about it and found that it made sense. That was because the methods and herbs used by the people in the forest clinic were things they had never seen before. In fact, the recovery effect was 3 to 5 times better than that of an ordinary doctor. Previously, they had thought that it was because of medicine master Nan Sheng's medical skills. However, now it seemed that it was possible that it was an experiment. Surrounded by the crowd, a woman in a gray long-sleeved shirt, her beautiful hair hanging down her back and down to her waist, was tied up with a delicate and pretty bow. When the man spoke, there was no fluctuation in his emotions. Instead, she quietly watched the man in front of her speak. This woman was the owner of the forest clinic. Everyone called her Medicine Master Nan Sheng. She claimed to be a medicine master who opened a clinic to save people and didn't charge a single cent. She only needed to bring some medicine for her when it was convenient. When such a bodhisattva appeared here, anyone would be pleasantly surprised. They would even be shocked that such a beautiful person in front of them had learned the skills of a medicine master and had specially come to such a place to save them. However, today, because of this incident, the image of the Linzhong clinic and medicine master Nan Sheng had been greatly tarnished. They even began to suspect that medicine master Nan Sheng had put some kind of poison in their stomachs that could control them. Impossible. Medicine master Nan Sheng is definitely not that kind of person. Old third tie, have you forgotten how your leg was healed? That's right. If she had any ulterior motives, why would she come looking for you idiots? Why would she come looking for you people who should have died a few months ago, or even half a year ago? Then tell us, what method did this woman use to cure all of you? What kind of medicine did she use? How could such a small amount of medicine in this small clinic be able to cure so many of us? There are so many kinds of diseases. Don't you think there's a problem? The people on both sides immediately began to argue. Between each other, they were very fiery and impolite. After all, they were all extraordinary people. Those who made a living here could risk their lives at any time. Why would they care about such things? Now, some people still believed in medicine master Nan Sheng, but some people were already standing on the side of the man in black. How much do you want to pay? Medicine master Nan Sheng finally spoke when the scene was extremely noisy. When he spoke, he was still as unhurried as before. Chapter 168. How much money do I have to pay? Hearing Nan Sheng's words, the rest of the people also quieted down. There were a few helpers beside Nan Sheng. It was said that these helpers were hired from the city. They were there to protect Nan Sheng and they looked very ordinary. Li Zongjiu had already squeezed his way in. He hid in the crowd but did not dare to enter. He did not dare to look at the girl. Li Zongjiu owed Nan Sheng in his previous life. Therefore, in this life, Li Zongjiu did not dare to face Nan Sheng directly. Pay? In that case, alchemist Nan Sheng wants to use money to settle this matter. Fine, I am alone and it is not easy to protect my rights. Your clinic is so big, just give me a few million gold coins and send me away. The black-clothed man heard Nan Sheng's words and he did not care. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and said. Obviously, he had already achieved his goal. Not only did he want money, but he also wanted Nan Sheng to lose his reputation. On the surface, it seemed like alchemist Nan Sheng was only doing this for money. But in reality, if alchemist Nan Sheng had taken out so much money, it meant that he had a guilty conscience and admitted that he had caused the death of the patient. Although he still didn't know why alchemist Nan Sheng would do this. However, there must be someone behind all of this. Excuse me, please let me in. Li Zongjiu hid in the back and took a deep breath. He finally patted the shoulder of the person in front of him, indicating that he should go in. If he did not come to find her, then there would be no way to remove the blood poison bug from Shen Nanxiao's body. At that time, Shen Nanxiao would become a walking corpse. His mother, Shen Xinxiao, would be in so much pain that she would not want to live. After all, something had happened to her own brother. Therefore, no matter what, Li Zongjiu had to bring Nan Sheng back. Little kid, go play at the side. The tall man in front of him turned around and saw that the person beside him was actually a little kid. What was there to give into? However, in the next moment, the tall man suddenly felt as if his body was lifted into the air. It was as if there was a force grabbing him, causing his body to involuntarily fly high into the air. Li Zongjiu grabbed the man in front of him. Then, he threw it out with a whoosh. The commotion here also shocked the surrounding people. After all, such a big person was directly thrown out, how could they ignore it? However, when they saw that the person who attacked was actually a young man, they were all shocked. Medicine Master Nan Sheng's line of sight was blocked by the black-clothed man in front of him. He didn't see Li Zongjiu, he only saw the brawny man who flew out. This comical scene caused alchemist Nan Sheng's heart to relax slightly. The black-clothed man seemed to have seen the smile in Nan Sheng's alchemist's eyes. Furthermore, his gaze had also landed behind him. The black-clothed man furiously turned around and looked behind him. But all he saw was a hand. He reached out to grab him. Ah! Voila! In the next instant, Li Zongjiu directly threw the black-clothed man out. To Li Zongjiu, no matter what the black-clothed man had to do, it wasn't as urgent as his matter. Therefore, he should just stand aside and wait. With a bang, the black-clothed man fell outside the door. There were already several people outside the door, stacked on top of each other. Medicine Master Nan Sheng and the others looked at the young man standing in front of them. They didn't know why he helped them. Although it was wrong to hit people, he directly threw them out when they were only halfway through their words. Such an action would make them think that the forest clinic was extremely rude. You are. Medicine Master Nan Sheng couldn't help but frown when he saw the newcomer. Nan Sheng looked at the young and confident Li Zongjiu in front of him. This pair of eyes seemed to be able to see through everything in the world. They had a calm expression that belonged to him. However, in Li Zongjiu's eyes, Nan Sheng could still see a trace of panic. Although it was well hidden by Li Zongjiu, why would he panic? Moreover, in Medicine Master Nan Sheng's eyes, the young man in front of him gave him a familiar feeling. This caused Medicine Master Nan Sheng to be extremely surprised. Because at his level, there was almost no one who could gain his favor. How could this be possible? How could such a person appear in such a small place? Medicine Master Nan Sheng couldn't help but feel a trace of interest towards Li Zongjiu. He curiously sized up the young man in front of him. Just what secrets do you have? My name is Li Zongjiu. I come from Luoxia City. Luoxia City? I've never heard of it. Nan Sheng frowned slightly, then gently shook his head. The name Li Zongjiu was even more unfamiliar to him. For Nan Sheng, with a single glance, she could tell that this was the first time Li Zongjiu had come to her clinic. You will hear about it in the future. But right now, I want to ask you to save someone. Li Zongjiu said. His heart, which had been stagnant for 3,000 years, finally began to tremble again. My clinic has already become a black clinic. You still dare to ask me to save someone? The 9 revolving universe needle technique is unparalleled in the world. Li Zongjiu said. At this moment, Medicine Master Nan Sheng, who originally had a calm expression, widened his eyes in shock. The 9 revolving universe needle technique. This was an acupuncture technique passed down from ancient times. It was also the acupuncture technique that Medicine Master Nan Sheng was currently learning. However, only Nan Sheng himself knew about this. He had never even told his family members. How did Li Zongjiu know about it? Therefore, Nan Sheng's heart was filled with shock as he looked at Li Zongjiu. Who are you? I can help you find the lower half of the 9 revolving universe needle technique, but you have to help me save someone. Li Zongjiu said. His face was filled with confidence. Logically speaking, Li Zongjiu might be lying. However, Nan Sheng could see the confidence and pride in Li Zongjiu's eyes. It seemed that there was no need for him to lie about this kind of thing. You really can find the lower half? Why should I believe you? Nan Sheng looked into Li Zongjiu's eyes and said. The surrounding onlookers were also dumbfounded by what they saw. What was going on? Weren't they just talking about curing someone to death? Why were they talking about a deal now? What was wrong with this young man? Why did he suddenly cut the queue? Li Zongjiu did not answer. The onlookers behind them were violently pushed aside by a group of people. Then, a large group of people rushed in. You want to attack me? Smash it. Today, I'm going to burn down this medical center. none of the people here can leave. The person who gave the order was the man who was thrown out by Li Zongjiu. Chapter 169. It was obvious that the other party had come prepared. They had brought so many people and were lying in ambush. It seemed that if they did not fork out so much money today, there would be no way to settle this peacefully. Nan Sheng was unmoved, as if he did not care at all. As for Li Zongjiu, he took a step back and turned around. He rushed towards the black-clothed man. Cripple this brat first. The leader of the black-clothed man actually took out a dagger and directly stabbed it towards Li Zongjiu. The rest of the people also held metal rods in their hands. Some of them smashed towards the windows, while others smashed towards the tables and chairs. However, the majority of them directly smashed towards Li Zongjiu. These people's movements were clearly very practiced. They rushed in without any nonsense. Their movements were fast, but Li Zongjiu's movements were even faster. His figure moved forward. The yuan power in his body was like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain. Facing the black-clothed man's dagger, he flicked his finger and directly shattered the dagger. The flying blade also streaked across the top of the black-clothed man's head. Swoosh! A strand of hair on the top of the black-clothed man's head was directly shaved off, leaving a gap. Moreover, a trace of blood flowed down. It was obvious that this was a cut on the man's head. Restrain! Li Zongjiu's mental energy spread out. With a bang, everyone was under his control. The metal rods that were about to fall to the ground were also suspended in the air. Some people used all their strength to smash the metal rods in their hands down. However, they realized that they could not move at all. Smash! Li Zongjiu waved his hand. Immediately, these people smashed the metal rods towards their own heads with a bang. They smashed it down mercilessly. Ah! Bang! Most of the people were directly smashed into the ground and fainted. Their bodies went limp and fell to the ground. The group of people who were so aggressive just a moment ago was instantly turned into a pile of mud, lying on the ground. The appearance of this scene caused the surrounding mercenaries to be shocked. This was indeed somewhat inconceivable. However, it also proved Li Zongjiu's strength. Many people who saw this scene were also shocked. This is spiritual power. He's a spirit master. Someone exclaimed. This Li Zongjiu stood in the same place, motionless, but he was able to put so many people on the ground at the same time. If it was not spiritual power, then what could it be? Being able to know the existence of a spirit master meant that they were more experienced. Therefore, they were able to call out the name of a spirit master. They had been through a lot and had seen some real masters. The existence of a spirit master was quite a terrifying level. With just a thought, he could kill someone from 100 meters away without spilling any blood. If such a person were to carry out assassinations, the assassin's eyes would be filled with fear for the rest of his life. All right, I believe you. Nanxing shrugged helplessly. Then he said to the person beside him, "Bring me my medicine box. I want to see a patient." Yes, Mississippi. The person immediately went into the inner room and took out Nanxing's medicine box. This decision was straightforward. Li Zongjiu sighed in relief. If Nanxing was not willing to help, then he really had no other choice. After all, Shen Nanxiao was poisoned by a gu. In this aspect, his research was still relatively lacking. Moreover, if he wanted to go to the Nanjiang tribe and capture a tribe elder, who knows how much time it would take. The most direct and effective method was to have Nanxing take action. Although Nanxing was like a turtle hiding in a small corner, his reputation was very low. Only within 100 miles could he be considered a little famous. Any further and he would not have any reputation. However, Li Zongjiu knew that Nanxing's medical skills were unparalleled. Although he was not at the peak, after learning the first half of the Universe 9 revolving acupuncture technique, he could already be the #1 pharmacist in the Xingyan dynasty. However, Nanxing did not care about it. Furthermore, Nanxing's goal was to quietly study this acupuncture technique. Nanxing looked simple. He was just a pharmacist who was doing good deeds here. However, in reality, Nanxing's identity was not simple. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu was already a supreme being. That was why he was able to peek into this corner of the Nanxing family. He came from the famous medicine god family of this continent. However, Li Zongjiu was not to be trifled with at that time. Everyone respected each other and was on equal footing. In the few days that I'm not here, you guys take care of this clinic and throw these people out. Nanxing turned around and said. Just as they were about to leave, the black-clothed man climbed up from the ground. In the chaos just now, he was kicked by Li Zongjiu and fainted. You're the one who knocked me down. Nanxing stretched out his hand, his jade-white hand. With a light flick of his hand, a faint ray of light disappeared and landed on the black-clothed man's body. Then, the black-clothed man clutched his head and fell to the ground. You dare to ruin my reputation. If you want money, just say it. This needle of pain will cause you to have a headache every day for a month. Consider it a punishment. Carry your brother's body back. After Nanxing finished speaking, he slung his bag over his shoulder and walked out with Li Zongjiu. As a pharmacist, Nanxing's job was to save people. However, when it came to killing people, he was no weaker than anyone present. After all, Nanxing only looked like he did not have the strength to truss up a chicken. When the two of them left the clinic, they could vaguely hear a painful cry behind them. Then, all these people were thrown out. Later on, those who were more knowledgeable were able to tell with a single glance that this black-clothed man had clearly plotted to poison his own younger brother and then pushed the blame onto medicine master Nanxing. Such a despicable method was indeed despicable. After this, the black-clothed man could forget about living a good life in this area. The people who had stood on the black-clothed man's side felt extremely ashamed. No matter what, alchemist Nanxing had at least cured their illnesses. Now, they were suspecting her instead. They were simply ungrateful. Although they liked money, they cared more about their reputation. It's all because of that damned beast who bewitched us. Let's go and cripple him. That's right. Watch how I kill that brat today. This Blackwater Road was going to be lively again. I'll go and buy a horse. Li Zongjiu said. He had come in a hurry and had basically rushed over by himself along the way. Therefore, they did not use a horse. However, now that Nanxing was accompanying them, they had to go together. Therefore, they had to buy a horse. A carriage would not do either. A carriage was too slow. No need. I have a mount. Nanxing said as he took out an eggshell-like object. If he remembered correctly, this thing was called an sun. When Nanxing gently blew on it, the sound was not loud. However, one could feel that this sound could travel very far. Boom! A shadow suddenly swept across the sky and covered the two of them. Li Zongjiu raised his head and saw a large fiery red bird appear in front of him. After circling once, it landed steadily on the ground. Crash! Dust filled the air. Chapter 171. The bird lowered its wings, and Nanxing stepped on its feathers and climbed up. Come up. It's my friend. Don't be afraid, Nanxing said. At the same time, he wiped off his sweat. It was obvious that climbing up was a bit strenuous. Li Zongjiu stared blankly at the red firebird in front of him. Was this the appearance of the bird when it was young? Wasn't this that despicable fellow? So this was what it looked like when it was young. What was the meaning of the 3 strands of hair on its head? It actually looked so adorable. However, it was surprising. To outsiders, this red bird with a handsome face and a murderous aura was just a relatively large bird. However, Li Zongjiu knew that this bird was called the 9 Flames Heavenly Sparrow. It possessed the bloodline of a sacred beast. The legendary Nine Flames sacred sparrow was this fellow's ancestor. Because of its extraordinary bloodline, this bird was also very arrogant. The sharp claws under its wings had captured countless ferocious beasts. And this was still a young form. When Li Zhongjiu first encountered this Nine Flames heavenly sparrow. When the Nine Flames heavenly sparrow spread its wings, it was already more than 300 feet long. Its mouth spat out raging flames like the setting sun. Its feet shattered the earth. With a flap of its wings, it was 10,000 meters high. He didn't expect it to have a strand of hair on its head when it was young. This kind of feeling was indeed very strange. The Nine Flames heavenly sparrow couldn't help but turn around and look at Li Zhongjiu. Why wasn't this kid coming up? Its sharp gaze also made Li Zhongjiu come back to his senses. He immediately jumped up and landed on the Nine Flames heavenly sparrow. You can show little Nine the way, Nanxing said. Then, he sat down cross-legged and placed the medicine box beside him. The feathers of the Nine Flames heavenly sparrow had become the best shield. When it landed beside him, it could help stabilize Nanxing. Of course, when the Nine Flames heavenly sparrow flew, it would form a stream of air to maintain its stability. Otherwise, Nanxing, who didn't have any cultivation, would be easily blown away. Over here. Li Zhongjiu pointed in the direction of Guanxi town. The Nine Flames heavenly sparrow flapped its wings. With a rumble, it soared into the sky and soared into the sky. Li Zhongjiu, who was standing behind the Nine Flames sky sparrow, was even faster than the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. However, the Nine Flames sky sparrow was at most a level 2 yuan beast. The holy sparrow's bloodline hasn't awakened yet. This guy probably doesn't even know about it, so his IQ isn't too high. Li Zhongjiu thought. Once the Nine Flames heavenly sparrow was awakened, it would undergo a change. At that time, the Nine Flames heavenly sparrow would no longer be an ordinary cloud beast, but a sacred beast. Not only could it increase its strength, but it could also increase its intelligence and form its own unique personality. Along the way, Nanxing also didn't ask what kind of illness it was. This was because Nanxing was confident that no matter what illness it was, it would not be a problem in his hands. Therefore, there was no need for him to waste his breath. Li Zhongjiu was also clear about this, so he didn't say much. The Nine Flames heavenly sparrow's speed was indeed fast. In just half a day, it had already reached the sky above Guanxi town. Until today. It was already the 4th day. Such a thing had happened in Guanxi town. The appearance of the southern border Gu masters had to be reported to the imperial court. However, Shen Nanxiao was still unconscious and there was nothing they could do about it. Those who died from the soul-devouring parasite had already been cremated. No one could do anything about such a disastrous thing. They could only blame themselves for being unlucky. What are these? Nanxing saw many bonfires below. These people seemed to be burning something. The scale was a little too big. There were at least 600 or 700 piles of flames burning continuously outside Guanxi town. They were poisoned by the soul-devouring goo, their corpses are being cremated. Li Zhongjiu stood on the Nine Flames heavenly sparrow and looked at the hundreds of bonfires burning below. His heart was calm. He was neither happy nor sad. If Li Zhongjiu didn't do anything, Guanxi town would become a dead city. He had already done his best. This world was not peaceful to begin with. Maybe it was because it had been peaceful for too long and there would always be some storms. Or maybe some immortals were fighting, causing these mortals to suffer. All kinds of situations were enough to cause you to lose your life at any time in this peaceful world. The only way was to increase one's strength. So many, Nanxing's eyes were also filled with shock. She had seen dead people, but not so many. You said they were poisoned by goo. The southern border goo. Nanxing said. That's right. You don't look like someone from a small town. Nanxing sized up Li Zhongjiu. This Li Zhongjiu had a unique temperament. He didn't fit in with the surroundings, as if he was above them. How could someone from a small town know so much? But Nanxing didn't care. Everyone had their own secrets. We're here. Let's go down. The 9 flames heavenly sparrow's body suddenly descended. She plunged into the Shen family below. Shen family. It was originally a joyous occasion, but after Shen Nanxiao's incident, the atmosphere became a little gloomy. When the 9 flames heavenly sparrow landed, it also alarmed the Shen family. Gu Man was the first to rush out. Young Master Li is back. Li Zongjiu and Nanxing both landed. The 9 flames heavenly sparrow strolled to the side of the courtyard, looking for any bugs on the lawn. Soon, Shen Chuanqiu and the others came one after another. Shen Xinqiao, who had been taking care of Shen Nanxiao in the house, also walked out excitedly. Zongjiu is back. Seeing Li Zongjiu return, everyone seemed to see hope. Shen Nanxiao's condition seemed to be very bad. Just today alone, he had already vomited a few mouthfuls of blood. Even the needle that Li Zongjiu inserted was almost shaken out. It was obvious that the situation was getting worse. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to last until the 7th day. Fortunately, Li Zongjiu came back in time. However, Shen Xinqiao looked at Nanxing in front of him. Although Nanxing's body had the fragrance of herbs, and there was a box on his waist, he was like a doctor who came to see a patient. However, he was a little too young. Could it be that Li Zongjiu knew a little alchemist somewhere? Such a serious situation, how could he casually teach such a little girl? It wasn't that he didn't believe in Li Zongjiu, but this Nanxing was really too young. The surrounding people also expressed their suspicions, but they were still well-mannered and still greeted him with a smile. Mother, this is Alchemist Nanxing. Li Zongjiu introduced. Alchemist Nanxing is really young, Shen Xinqiao said with a smile. Since it was his son's choice and recommendation, then there must be something special about it. Shen Yi was also by Shen Xinqiao's side. At first, she was scared out of her wits, but later, when she found out that her father was seriously ill, this pure and innocent girl also panicked and was extremely worried. Every time Shen Nanxiao vomited blood, he would cry. As for Shen Yi's mother, these days, her body was also exhausted. Please. Li Zongjiu said. Nanxing also smiled slightly and nodded to the surrounding people. Then, he walked in alone. Li Zongjiu helped Nanxing close the door. This guy, how does he know my habits? Nanxing wanted to remind him that when she was performing acupuncture, she didn't like people to disturb her, so she didn't allow people to watch. Although Li Zongjiu had heard of her reputation, he might not know about this habit. He seemed to be very familiar with it. This made Nanxing mutter in his heart. Chapter 172. Outside Luoxia City. There were countless wolf corpses on the ground outside the city wall. Similarly, there were also many corpses of the city guards. City Lord Yi Chao stood at the city gate and stared at the tragic situation below. It was already dark, but it would not be long before dawn. The enemy might attack here. From the beginning to the end, the other party did not show his face. Only the wild beasts that surged out from the dark Yuan forest were charging and tearing at each other. If these wild beasts were to attack the city, it would definitely endanger the people. Although this matter is directed at the Li family, my Luoxia city is not a place that can be bullied. Yi Chao said slowly. The one standing beside him was Gu Xuanwu, who was in charge of guarding the Li family. Now, the Li family's business had become the mainstay of Luoxia city. The taxes they paid every month were enough to cover the expenses of the city guards. Moreover, the Li family was never stingy when it came to taxes. This made Yi Chao feel good. The enemy obviously wanted to create a scene of wild beasts attacking the city. After all, it was a big crime to attack the city openly. This was a rebellion. Even if you had 10,000 reasons, it was still a rebellion. Although the Luoxia city was located in a remote area, it was still the territory of the Luoxia dynasty. If they directly attacked, the Luoxia dynasty would definitely pursue the matter to the end. Therefore, the enemy chose to let the wild beasts attack. At this moment, there was a huge hole with a diameter of about 10 meters on the city wall of Luoxia city. The city wall almost collapsed. This was caused by a meta beast that was hiding among the wild beasts and suddenly released a terrifying power. From a distance of a few hundred meters, he actually threw a huge rock directly over. In the end, it smashed into the city wall with a loud bang. Many archers on the city wall were also directly knocked back. The meta beast did not attack many times. It quickly slipped away, not giving Yi Chao a chance. If the meta beast dared to continue approaching, Yi Chao and Gu Xuanwu would join forces to kill the meta beast first. Then, the wild beasts would not be a threat. With Yi Chao here, the Li family was slightly better. Otherwise, if Yi Chao directly handed them over, the Li family would be destroyed. The Li family would definitely be destroyed, and Luoxia city's economy would probably decline very quickly. The Northern Medicine Alliance actually dared to send people to massacre the city. Elder Li Julian's heart was filled with rage. When he saw the tragic scene of this morning's massacre, he was extremely shocked as well. Fortunately, they were prepared and had received the news in advance. Otherwise, their losses would have been even more disastrous. Why wouldn't I dare? These people think that my Sunset City is merely a mediocre city, yet they act so wantonly. Looks like I have to let them know who is in charge of Sunset City now. Yi Chao snorted coldly. However, in the next moment, a sharp and high-pitched voice suddenly rang out in the sky. Beep! The night was pitch black, but with Yi Chao and the rest's eyesight, they could see a huge black bird in the distant sky. It was circling in the sky and was rapidly flying forward. Boom! This whistling sound even caused the people in the city to feel extremely uncomfortable. Many people directly covered their ears and fainted. Jia! In the Li family's courtyard in the city, a similar whistling sound swept out and a surge of aura shot up to the sky. The wings of the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle seemed to be flashing with lightning. Its figure appeared in the sky and released the aura of a king. The huge black bird's previous cry was to provoke the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. Although the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle's spiritual intelligence was not low, Li Zhongjiu was not here, and Li Tianqing was also not here. No one could directly command the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. Although the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle's primary mission was to protect the Li family's safety, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was now being provoked. But now that he had been provoked, it was even more unbearable. Even a person who had been provoked could very well go berserk. Not to mention the meta beast. Without saying a word, it rushed into the sky. When it was a few hundred meters away, it directly released a bolt of lightning from its body and directly blasted out. Boom! It was like a furious thunderbolt from the sky. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle's move was even more ferocious. It made people shudder when they saw it from afar. If they were struck, they would only end up being turned into ashes. Not good. Their target is the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. Gu Xuanwu's eyes immediately widened. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was the Li family's ultimate weapon. Since the other party had a beast tamer, they might have subdued the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. At that time, they would bring the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle to attack the Luoxia city, and the people of the Luoxia city would be one step closer to death. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle whistled out and left the Luoxia city behind in the blink of an eye. The huge black bird seemed to be purposely luring the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle away. It did not directly confront the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the night sky with the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. In the Li family's courtyard, Wang Jing raised his head and glanced at the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle in the sky. Sigh, a meta beast is a meta beast. It's over now. Thinking of this, Wang Jing repacked his luggage and carried it on his back. He turned around and walked towards the back door of the courtyard. Although the atmosphere in the Li family was quite good, and these people gave Wang Jing the respect he deserved, he was still half invited and half kidnapped by Li Zongjiu. Now that the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle had suddenly left, Wang Jing also had a chance to leave this place. Wang Jing, you want to escape? Just as Wang Jing was about to leave, a surprised voice rang out, causing Wang Jing to involuntarily stop in his tracks. Behind him, Li Yun stared at the person in front of her with her limpid eyes. Although Wang Jing was reluctant to leave, he knew that the Li family had suffered a great disaster. The people of the Li family need to stay, but I don't need to. I'm not a member of the Li family. Ahem, Li Yun, it's not that I want to escape. I'm just telling you the truth. Your Li family is about to fall. Why don't you escape with me? I know a path that's absolutely safe. Wang Jing frowned and said. I, Li Yun, am a member of the Li family. If I die, I'll be a ghost of the Li family. Even if the sky falls and the earth rends, or if there's a flash flood or a tsunami, I, Li Yun, will never leave. After Li Yun finished speaking, she glared at Wang Jing. Wang Jing, I'm very disappointed in you. Then, Li Yun also turned and left. Wang Jing stood in place, stunned for a moment. Then, he shrugged helplessly. She spoke with a strong sense of righteousness, but when death really came, she only knew how to cry. Looks like they're about to attack. I'd better leave quickly. As he spoke, Wang Jing picked up his bag and took advantage of the darkness of the night to make his way through the small path. Unlike Li Yun and the others, Wang Jing had wandered the world. He had escaped from all kinds of desperate situations and barely managed to survive. Now, his life was more important than money. There was no need to panic. Wang Jing had already figured out what kind of geographical advantage this Luoxia city had. Chapter 173. On top of a wall. Wang Jing threw the bag out and climbed up with great difficulty. Standing on the wall, he looked back at the direction of the Li family. Although it was not long, it was a place where Wang Jing felt warmth. At least, Wang Jing gradually let down his guard here. Boom! A huge impact had appeared on the city wall in front of them. A 10-meter-tall berserk gorilla rushed to the front of Luoxia city. It tore the wall in front of it like a piece of paper. It tore a hole in the wall. Tens of thousands of beasts rushed toward Luoxia city like a flood. Fuck, we're fucking done for. Wang Jing immediately jumped out without hesitation, and then quickly headed towards the route that he had set before. 5 miles to the east, there was a small river. Wang Jing had already prepared a small wooden raft and hid it nearby. He was ready to sail down the river and leave Luoxia city at any time. Roar! The terrifying roar that came from the Luoxia city behind him made Wang Jing quicken his pace. He didn't stop. On top of the city wall, Gu Xuanwu had already rushed down and fought with the berserk gorilla. Yi Chao was still observing the situation. His soldiers were also trying their best to resist. Yi Chao was also rubbing his hands. After the berserk gorilla and the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle were lured out, they would definitely attack and distract the people in the city. Therefore, Yi Chao had to stop these beasts. City Lord, I received a letter. As long as we hand over the Li family, the Northern Medicine Alliance will let bygones be bygones. Just when Yi Chao was about to attack, a voice came from beside him. It was the #1 strategist of Yi Chao. Ying Lai. While speaking, Ying Lai lowered his head and looked very humble. However, under such circumstances, Ying Lai felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. After all, what he said was like a slap to Yi Chao's face. Although it was important to stay alive. I think you don't want to live anymore. Does the Northern Medicine Alliance want to be above Luoxia city? Yi Chao said coldly. After today, get out of Luoxia city. Ying Lai bowed even lower. It was obvious that Yi Chao had the intention to kill him. But for the sake of their old friendship, Yi Chao did not make a move. When Yi Chao jumped down from the city wall, Yi Chao was shocked. His Yuan General Realm aura was instantly released. Boom! It was as if King Kong had landed on the ground. The sword in his hand instantly killed all the wild beasts around him. The sword chi seemed to have the power to break bamboo. Crash! They easily cleaned up the surrounding wild beasts. Broken limbs and blood splattered everywhere. The defense of the soldiers in the city was also damaged. However, only a small portion of the city guards were attacked. Most of the wild beasts headed straight for the Li family. No one would believe that there was no one controlling these beasts behind the scenes. Not good. Li Jiuyan immediately grew worried. However, Li Jiuyan's own situation was not good either. Many ferocious beasts were swarming towards the city walls, and some of the Li family guards were also charging out. The scene reeked of blood. The Li family. Although Li Yan was young, when most of the elders were sent out, her status as an alchemy elder was considered higher in front of the group of disciples. Quick, everyone hide in the basement. Li Bai Chao. Here. Quickly bring some people and block the door. Sprinkle the rosemary orchid at the door. The effect of the rosemary orchid should be enough to slow them down. The rosemary orchid was one of the main ingredients used to concoct knockout drugs. If one breathed in too much, it was very likely that one would fall into a coma. Now that they were dealing with these wild beasts, they were not helpless. Moreover, they were not running for their lives in a panic. Instead, they were united and calmly dealt with the situation. Roger. As the eldest disciple of the alchemy hall, Li Baicao's alchemy skills had improved a lot these days. Now that he was facing a crisis, he did not panic at all. He immediately brought the other 3 alchemy hall disciples to the door. He used a wooden stake to seal the door. At the same time, he sprinkled the rosemary orchid powder around it. When Li Baichao and the others returned to Li Yun's side, Li Yun had already sealed the door of the basement. There was enough food and water below, enough for the people to survive for 10 days to half a month. Where's Elder Wang Jing? Why don't I see him? Li Baichao suddenly remembered that this little fatty, who seemed to only know how to brag but was actually hiding his strength, was an elder that their young master had invited. At this time, they had to take care of him. They couldn't let him die outside like this. Him. He escaped long ago. Li Yun coldly snorted and said. We are the last line of defense. We must block the attack of these wild beasts. Otherwise, our Li family will be finished. We must hold on until reinforcements arrive. Do we have reinforcements? Li Baichao could not help but ask. From the looks of it, there was indeed no one who could save them. The attack was too sudden. Should they ask the Fog Snow Alchemy sect for help? It would take 3 to 4 days to go there and back. By the time they returned, their Li family would have been in ruins. Before disaster struck, they must strengthen themselves. Everyone's morale was low. Li Yun wanted to cheer them up, but soon she felt the violent tremors coming from the ground. Rumble. The heavy sound was like 10,000 horses galloping. It was as if a moving mountain was pressing down on the Li family at a high speed. Boom! The Li family's door and walls were instantly blasted apart. The first to charge in. It was actually a meta beast. Level 2 meta beast, water deer and hunting tiger. The water deer and hunting tiger's body was small and looked like a hunting dog. However, the explosive force between the tiger's claws could easily tear a person in half without any delay. Moreover, the water deer and hunting tiger's reaction was extremely fast and agile. In this forest, it was simply a natural killer. A level 2 meta beast was equivalent to a Master Realm expert. The number of Master Realm experts in their Li family was pitifully small. Where could they find a master realm expert to fight against this water deer and hunting tiger? Some of the wild beasts that came in through the door directly inhaled the rosemary orchid and fell to the ground with a plop after taking 2 steps. However, more wild beasts stepped on the wild beasts in front and pounced in. They had received the order to kill everyone in the Li family. Roar! The water deer and hunting tiger roared and suddenly pounced towards Li Yun. The aura of death enveloped Li Yun, but Li Yun did not retreat. She held the sword in her hand tightly. Her legs could not help but tremble. She stood on the spot, unable to move. Kill! As men, Li Baichao and the other 3 naturally rushed out. They also participated in their usual morning exercises, so they more or less had some self-defense skills. However, in front of the water deer and hunting tiger, it was not worth mentioning. Bang! Bang! With a light slap of its claws, the 4 were directly sent flying. They vomited blood and fell to the ground unconscious. Go to hell! Li Yun held the sword with both hands and slashed towards the head of the water deer and hunting tiger. However, the water deer and hunting tiger's reaction speed was much faster than Li Yun's. It directly bit horizontally towards Li Yun's waist. Roar! Li Yun originally wanted to fight to the death. However, when the sword hit the head of the water deer and hunting tiger, a trace of blood spurted out. Li Yun was shocked. I seem to be fine. Wait, why is this water deer and hunting tiger lying on the ground? I told you to leave long ago. You didn't listen. A familiar voice sounded. Then, the water deer and hunting tiger on the ground was suddenly lifted up. Alchemy flame. Boom! This was the first time Li Yun saw Wang Jing make a move. Wang Jing usually looked like a flippant person, but when he made his move, everyone was taken aback. The water deer and hunting tiger was surrounded by flames. They struggled painfully in the flames, but soon they were burned into a pile of ashes. Wang Jing did not have time to care about Li Yun. He turned around and looked at the group of beasts behind him. It's time to let you see Master Jing's anger. Alchemy flame. Boom! The raging flames bloomed and directly turned into a ferocious beast, killing the beasts in front of him. In an instant, a sea of fire spread out. Chapter 174. Li Baichao and the others, who were seriously injured, saw Wang Jing. At this moment, they finally understood why the young master seemed to have spent a lot of effort to keep Wang Jing here. Such a person, no matter where he was, could become a top figure. It would be difficult for them to catch up with such a person in terms of strength. It was really terrifying. With such strength, Wang Jing was willing to stay in Luoxia City. The most important thing was that Wang Jing didn't want to expose his strength too much. Usually, he was quite low-key. It even made people think that Wang Jing, apart from being good at alchemy, was simply a lazy person. When it came to eating, Wang Jing was indeed the best at it. Today, he had one more attribute, which was being greedy for life and afraid of death. They did not expect him to escape directly. But now, he suddenly came back to save their lives and showed his strength. This made Li Baichao and the others even more surprised and admired him. On the other hand, Wang Jing was indeed not a member of the Li family. There was no need for him to stay and risk his life. However, Wang Jing himself had already escaped from danger, and now he had come back, which was even more admirable. Thank you, Li Yun glanced at Wang Jing, who was showing his strength. She was even a little stunned. At this time, Wang Jing was also very regretful. After revealing his strength, he really could not continue to stay here. Otherwise, trouble would soon come knocking on his door. At that time, he would not be the one to save the Li family. Instead, he would really plunge the Li family into fire and water. The number of people that Wang Jing had offended was innumerable. Almost every corner of the world had people that Wang Jing had offended. Therefore, every time he escaped, he was extra careful and had a good plan. Hide behind me. Wang Jing growled. Between his palms, a fire cauldron appeared. Boom! Flames burned. Outside the city, Li Gui and the others felt as if a sharp sword was stabbing their hearts. The formation of the wild beasts was directly broken and they joined the battle. Gu Xuanwu saw Li Gui and the others come back and was also happy. Quick, the Li family is under attack. Kill! Hearing this, Li Gui immediately urged his horse and charged towards the direction of the Li family. They had rushed all the way here and were only able to continue fighting because they were relying on their last breaths. If they couldn't win this battle, then it would have been a waste for them to rush back. As he fought, he allowed the blood to splash on his body. Li Gui and the others were like barbaric iron-blooded soldiers, slaughtering their way to the Li family. The sky gradually brightened. Amidst the slaughter, a roar came from the forest, and the wild beasts retreated like the tide. Yi Chao and the others were in the middle of the beast horde. Seeing these beasts retreating quickly. However, the berserk gorilla that split open the city gate didn't manage to leave. His heart was crushed by Gu Xuanwu. To be able to fight so valiantly at such an old age was indeed an eye-opener. This high-spirited spirit was nowhere to be seen in the past. In the end, the berserk gorilla's head was chopped off by Gu Xuanwu. Not even Gu Xuanwu had expected this. One had to realize that even their Xuanwu army squad would have to expend a great deal of effort to capture a level 3 or 4 origin beast, and they would even have to pay a certain price to capture one. However, decades had passed, and his body had been abandoned for such a long time. When he used it again, it was still as ferocious as before. In fact, it even felt like the more he fought, the stronger he became. The power of the scarlet fire took root and sprouted in Gu Xuanwu's body. The bones in his body seemed to have become stronger. However, this strength could only be shown in a battle like this. Refreshing. Yi Chao landed beside Gu Xuanwu and stared at his old buddy in astonishment. Gu Xuanwu was already so old and had one foot in the coffin. Yet, he was still able to possess such powerful combat strength. It was indeed an eye-opener for Yi Chao. Not bad. To think that you're still at this level. Gu Xuanwu glanced in Yi Chao's direction. Behind Yi Chao lay a large number of corpses. At a glance, there were at least 400 to 500 corpses. To be able to create such a great battle record by himself with a single sword was indeed impressive. There was even some shock and disbelief. You're not bad yourself. Blue Tide Sword. The sword doesn't need to be released. Gu Xuanwu exclaimed. Yi Chao's eyes flashed at Gu Xuanwu's words. There weren't many people who could recognize this sword. Back then, Yi Chao's clan had clashed with the Xuanwu army many times. If Gu Xuanwu could recognize it, then he must have known of Yi Chao's identity. Yi Chao's clan had recruited Yi Chao through a form of recruitment. After all, the Blue Tide sword grew and multiplied endlessly. It wasn't so easy to block. If it was cultivated to the peak, it would be able to destroy a city with a single wave. I haven't moved for a long time. Do these people really think that I'm old? Yi Chao coldly snorted. To think that they dared to do such a thing. To think that they didn't put Luoxia City in their eyes. Although Luoxia City wasn't ranked, it wasn't a place that could be trampled on by some trash alchemist alliance. With their level, they weren't able to disregard Yi Chao. In the depths of the mountain forest, a large bird with golden wings was trapped in the forest. Its surroundings were filled with thorny vines, trapping the large bird. Even the slightest struggle would bring about an intense pain. It was the Li clan's golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. In front of the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was an old man in gray robes. He held a wooden cane in his hand. The cane was engraved with several beast patterns. There was also a token hanging on his robes. The word beast was written on it, and the symbol of a mountain peak was carved on the back. Thousand Beasts Sect. It wasn't a weak sect. Although there weren't many people in the Thousand Beasts sect, no one dared to look down on them in Dingquan province. Even the mountain gate of the Thousand Beasts sect had become a forbidden area for ordinary cultivators. In Dingquan province, the strength of the Thousand Beasts sect was similar to that of the Zheng clan. Among the second-grade sects, it was considered a top existence. The Fog Snow Pills sect was located in a corner. It was at most a third-grade sect. It was considered a third-grade sect in the Shengyan dynasty. These sects needed to be certified and registered by the dynasty before they could become a sect. Only after they obtained a photo could they establish a sect and recruit disciples. This old man was just an outer sect deacon of the Thousand Beasts sect. Now that he heard that there was actually a subdued level 3 meta beast in this small Luoxia city, he naturally rushed over in a hurry. He was at the same level as a spirit master and a master. This old man was a third-grade beast tamer. He was able to control a general-level meta beast. He wasn't much in the Thousand Beasts sect, but in a place like Luoxia city, he was a godlike existence. Otherwise, why would he dare to summon so many meta beasts to attack the city? It really is a golden-winged blue-tailed eagle, a peak third-grade meta beast. I didn't expect that there would be such a good thing waiting for me. Come into my arms. With my ability, it's not impossible for you to become a fourth-grade meta beast. Once you become a fourth-grade meta beast, you will gain intelligence. Do you want to be a little bird that listens to orders forever? We have a cooperative relationship. I am your friend, you don't have to be afraid. Kiki. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle kept struggling. In the old man's view, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle didn't have any imprints on its body. It should have been domesticated since it was young. Therefore, taming this kind of meta beast was even easier. Since you don't want to surrender yourself, don't blame me. I am doing this for your own good. You must believe me. As he spoke, the old man took out a long black needle. On the needle, one could see a taboo power surging within. This was the Soul Breaker Needle. It was a weapon refined by the Thousand Beasts sect using hundreds of beast souls and blood essences. If it pierced into the meta beast's body, the beast soul within the needle would erupt and tear the meta beast's soul to pieces. It was like being haunted by a malicious spirit. It would cause great harm to the meta beast's mind and soul. Just as the old man was about to make his move, he suddenly frowned. He looked in the direction of Luoxia city. You actually killed my ferocious blood ape. Luoxia city, how dare you make an enemy out of me, Su Feng. I already gave you a chance, but you didn't want it. Su Feng's eyes flashed with a cold light. He directly pierced the Soul Breaker Needle into the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle's head. Beep! One could hear the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle's painful cry that spread thousands of miles away. Chapter 175. 10,000 meters up in the sky. A huge grayish-brown bird spread its wings. Oh no, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle is in danger. Li Zhongjiu suddenly opened his eyes. There was a flash of anger in his eyes. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was tamed by Li Zhongjiu. Now that it was being attacked by someone else, it was a provocation to Li Zhongjiu. Through the mental strength link, Li Zhongjiu could clearly feel the pain coming from the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. Full speed ahead. This huge brown bird was called the Gray Cloud Eagle. It was relatively common among the level 2 meta beasts. It was only at the master level. Naturally, it was no match for Li Zhongjiu. After being tamed, it immediately rushed over. It was not far from the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. The Gray Cloud Eagle flapped its wings and flew. The speed that it had displayed along the way was the maximum potential of its body. Almost there. Whoosh! Just as Li Zhongjiu was about to land. Suddenly, he heard a few whistling sounds behind him. Li Zhongjiu was alerted by the sharp air blades that pierced through the air. The Gray Cloud Eagle was hit by a blade and a few feathers were blown off. At the same time, fresh blood flew from the sky. Whoosh! The gray cloud eagle screamed in pain. Obviously, the attack just now had seriously injured the gray cloud eagle. At the same time, the gray cloud eagle's body was descending rapidly. At the same time, Li Zongjiu also saw the person who attacked him in the process of descending. It was a huge black bird. If he was not mistaken, this huge bird should be a level 3 meta beast, black wind hunting eagle. A meta beast with the wind attribute. It was extremely fast and could control the surrounding wind to form a terrifyingly sharp wind blade. It could easily cut the enemy in half. At the same time, the black wind hunting eagle had a ferocious nature. What it was best at was using wind blades to cut countless wounds on the enemy's body. Then, it would drain the blood and finally devour the flesh of the prey. Another gust of wind blades came, as if it was raining blades and swords. Crash! Break! Li Zongjiu extended his hand, and a stream of essence force instantly shattered these wind blades. The black wind falcon chased after him. A pair of sharp claws grabbed towards Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu leaped into the air. It was very difficult for ordinary people to control their own body in such a high altitude. However, it was a piece of cake for Li Zongjiu. With a flip of his body, he landed on the back of the black wind falcon. However, the gray cloud eagle was not so lucky. The black wind falcon's sharp claws pierced through his body and caught him. Voila! In an instant, blood splattered everywhere. The gray cloud eagle was like a piece of tofu. It was directly torn into two halves, and its innards rained down from the sky. The gray cloud eagle was directly torn into two halves. Although it was a level 2 meta beast, it did not even have the slightest bit of resistance in front of a level 3 meta beast. However, Li Zongjiu had already landed on the black wind falcon's body. Die! The 6 revolution steel blade in his hand stabbed down. At the same time, he used his own essence force. Otherwise, it would be difficult to split the black wind falcon apart with just the power of the blade. The black wind falcon's defense was not weak either, although the blade had pierced through. But for the black wind falcon, it wasn't a serious injury. Beep! However, it had completely angered the black wind falcon. Immediately, the black wind falcon spun wildly. As it spun, it could feel the terrifying blade wind gradually forming around its body. When this gust of wind was formed, Li Zongjiu's body seemed to have sunk into the thousands of slashes of the blade. His skin and flesh were lacerated. Even blood was seeping out from his skin. Boom! You're courting death! Li Zongjiu roared. Then, the wind from his palm surged. The 6 revolution steel blade in his hand instantly slammed into the black wind falcon's body. Bang! Suddenly, the black wind falcon's body stopped spinning. It was just inertia that caused it to crash to the side. Li Zongjiu also fell from the sky. He fell. Just as he was about to hit the ground, his essence force exploded. Boom! As he fell, Li Zongjiu's body finally stabilized. Otherwise, the fall just now would have broken a few bones. Li Zongjiu's body rolled a dozen times on the ground. Finally, he hit a tree trunk and came to a stop. This exchange left Li Zongjiu battered and exhausted. Looks like I have to quickly break through to the Yuan general level. Li Zongjiu thought to himself. Only after breaking through to the Yuan general level could Li Zongjiu fly in the air. In the sky, he could more or less stabilize his body and would not fall directly. The black wind falcon also fell to the ground with a boom. Instantly, the sound of the black wind falcon's bones breaking could be heard. Li Zongjiu stood up. Without hesitation, he rushed towards the black wind falcon. He picked up the steel blade on the ground and directly chopped off the black wind falcon's head. Boom! The black wind falcon was still in a dizzy state when it was killed by Li Zongjiu's blade. Its ending was quite tragic. As the blood splattered, Li Zongjiu also circulated the Yuan Sutra. The yuan power in his body instantly refined this large amount of fresh blood into blood pearls. The blood dragon origin spirit seems to be acting strangely. While absorbing the blood and refining it into blood beads, Li Zongjiu found that the blood dragon origin spirit, which had been silent for a long time, was also excited and was absorbing the blood. You're only excited because you're bathing in blood? And the level of the kill must not be low. Li Zongjiu was slightly enlightened. The blood dragon origin spirit was actually so bloodthirsty that it would only react under such bloodthirsty circumstances. In order to obtain the Yuan Sutra hidden in the blood dragon origin spirit, the blood dragon origin spirit had to be awakened. Now, it seemed to be in a half-awake state. The way to awaken the blood dragon origin spirit was to kill. The only way was to persevere in killing. Moreover, the blood dragon origin spirit could only be awakened by killing higher-level creatures or stronger existences. Su Feng, who was torturing the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle, suddenly trembled. He seemed to have missed his footing and fell backward. It took him a great deal of effort to stabilize his body. This made Su Feng extremely shocked. What? Someone actually killed my black-winged falcon. Who? Who is it? Su Feng was instantly enraged. He had paid a great price to exchange for the black-winged falcon from others. It was born as a level 3 meta beast. He even had the opportunity to cultivate it to the level 4 meta beast. The black-winged falcon was only in the growth stage and had not reached the mature stage. Compared to humans, it was just a teenager. What kind of person could be so ruthless? How dare you kill my black-winged falcon? I will definitely tear you into pieces. Just as Su Feng was fuming in anger, he saw a figure walking out of the forest in front of him. He was dragging a long steel knife in his hand. The steel knife was extremely sharp. It did not even require any extra movements. It was simply dragged on the ground. It also cut down the trees along the way. The most important thing was, Su Feng sensed an extremely strong smell of blood from this person. Combined with the death of the black-winged falcon, he immediately realized that it was the person in front of him who killed his black-winged falcon. Are you the one who killed my black-winged falcon? I want you to pay for it with your life. Su Feng said coldly. As for who Li Zongjiu was, he was not interested in knowing. Anyway, this guy would die sooner or later. In such a remote place, there was no one that he did not dare to kill. He was the Thousand Beasts sect's external deacon. With such an identity, if he came to Luoxia City, the city lord of Luoxia City would have to personally welcome him. After all, his identity was not that simple. To be able to sit in this position, he must have a lot of connections. Li Zongjiu did not answer Su Feng. There was no need to talk nonsense with the enemy. How could he be sure that it was the enemy? The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was not far away. It was howling in pain. How could Li Zongjiu not see it? There was only one outcome for the enemy, death. Li Zongjiu approached. Suddenly, a terrifying murderous aura burst out from his eyes. Boom! The murderous aura enveloped Su Feng. Chapter 176. Even Su Feng couldn't help but shudder. But soon, Su Feng sneered. I thought you were as ferocious as a tiger. You're just a piece of trash at the Yuanshi level. You want to be my enemy? I'll make sure you can't even touch my clothes. If we were in the sect, a piece of trash like you wouldn't even have the right to carry my shoes. Su Feng shouted. The grade 4 prime general aura in his body was released with a loud explosion. His cultivation was even more powerful than the city lord Yi Chao's. Only the elders of Lai Peak and Crimson Afterglow Peak could be compared to him. However, Su Feng's forte wasn't his cultivation, but beast taming. Before becoming a beast taming master, one's own Yuanli had to pass the test. On top of that, Su Feng was a grade 4 origin general Yuanli expert. This was the feeling of being infuriated by comparison. If an ordinary person wanted to cultivate to the level of a 4th-grade general, they would have to spend a lot of time and effort. How much chance and luck would they have to have, and how much effort would they have to put in order to reach such a level? However, Su Feng's talent was terrifying. Not only was he an expert in Yuanli, but he was also a beast-taming master who could control thousands of beasts. Li Zongjiu didn't say a word. He just stared at Su Feng. The other party's aura was strong. Clearly, Su Feng had never given up on the aspect of elemental energy. However, Li Zongjiu had come into contact with beast tamers in his previous life. Once these people became beast tamers, they would try their best to summon elemental beasts to protect themselves. Moreover, after a beast-taming master's state appeared, the changes they could feel would be even more varied and terrifying. This was because they could summon Yuan beasts of different attributes to fight for them. To a beast-taming master, a Yuan beast with unique abilities was very valuable. Killing a Yuan beast and obtaining a Yuan crystal was no different from killing the goose that laid the golden eggs for a beast-taming master. Only by truly controlling the Yuan beast and grasping its abilities would they be able to achieve the desired effect. Therefore, Li Zongjiu released his mental strength. Li Zongjiu scanned the surroundings to see if there were any powerful existences around. After all, if these Yuan beasts launched a surprise attack, they would definitely pose a threat to Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu wasn't a god, nor did he have the cultivation of the evil lord in his previous life. After his rebirth, he could still be injured and die. If he didn't want the tragedy of his previous life's family to happen again, Li Zongjiu had to ensure his safety and kill all these people. Any obstacle that blocked his way must be destroyed. Bai Shenfu. As mental energy spread out, Li Zongjiu immediately sensed 2 auras hiding behind him. Previously, Su Feng had released his aura to cover these 2 auras, preventing Li Zongjiu from sensing the 2 Yuan beasts hiding behind him. Beast-taming masters rely on these Yuan beasts. The corner of Li Zongjiu's mouth curled into a sneer. If that was the case, then they would really run into Li Zongjiu's gun. There were 2 Yuan beasts behind him. One of them was only the size of a palm, but it was covered with spikes. It was an offensive weapon. Li Zongjiu recognized it quickly. It was a spiked beast that lived in the rainforest. It was good at camouflage and sneak attacks. The other one was a giant bat. Its wings covered its body, completely concealing its presence. It was just hanging upside down on the tree trunk. It was impossible to see the existence of this bat at a glance because its wings were the same color as the tree trunk. Level 3 Yuan Beast, Poison Blood Bat. These 2 Yuan beasts were also level 3 Yuan beasts. In addition, there was the Black Wind Falcon that he killed. This beast-taming master had 3 level 3 Yuan beasts. He was not weak. Now that he had caught the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle, he obviously wanted to subdue it. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was poisoned. It should be the poison of the poison blood bat. He used his mental strength to pacify the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. As a peak class 3 demonic beast, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was enraged that it was being controlled in such a manner. It even struggled to break free, but its body was covered with cuts and bruises. Don't worry. I will treat your Yuan beast well. Now, go to hell. Su Feng said coldly. After Li Zongjiu killed his Black Wind Falcon, Su Feng had already sentenced Li Zongjiu to death. With a thought, the poison blood bat on the tree and the spiked beast on the ground attacked instantly. Whoosh! The spiked beast turned into a spiked ball and rushed toward Li Zongjiu. It was so fast that it bounced a few times on the ground and changed its direction at will. Then, it stabbed toward Li Zongjiu. The poison blood bat flew to the sky above Li Zongjiu. It instantly spread its wings and let out a ghostly cry. It spat out a puddle of venom from the sky and landed on Li Zongjiu's body. Whoosh! Hidden dragon skill. Li Zongjiu shouted in a low voice. Then, his figure gradually disappeared from the spot. The spiked beast instantly penetrated Li Zongjiu's body and disappeared in front of his eyes. Li Zongjiu's body was nowhere to be found. It was as if he had disappeared just like that. The hidden dragon skill was a grade 5 yuan skill. With Li Zongjiu's current cultivation level, he should not have been able to use it. However, with Li Zongjiu's high level of research and mastery of the hidden dragon skill, he was able to achieve a temporary effect. His figure vanished before Su Feng's eyes. He disappeared. What kind of yuan skill is that? The poison blood bat's venom landed on the ground where Li Zongjiu had been standing. It was extremely corrosive. Su Feng was stunned for a moment, but he soon sneered. The poison blood bat had already discovered Li Zongjiu's body. You want to run? You can't run away. The poison blood bat's response wave instantly locked onto Li Zongjiu, who was running away. Its claws kicked off the tree trunk and it instantly changed direction and chased after Li Zongjiu. The spiked beast that was rolling on the ground also hit the tree. It was like a bouncy rubber ball as it chased after Li Zongjiu. Whoosh! You want to run away from me? Do you think I'm a piece of trash? Su Feng sneered when he saw the two yuanshi beasts chasing after Yang Kai. If he couldn't even deal with a 7th grade yuanshi trash, then he wouldn't have the face to continue being the deacon of the Thousand Beasts sect. You're not a piece of trash. You're just a little stupid. Li Zongjiu's voice suddenly rang in Su Feng's ears. Su Feng's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. However, he quickly felt a surge of elemental energy invading his spine. Bang! A cracking sound came from his spine. Su Feng's entire body was in his opponent's hands. The reason why Su Feng cultivated so much yuan power was so that he could have the ability to protect himself. Bang! Therefore, when Li Zongjiu attacked, the yuan power in his body did not disappear. It was filled with vigilance and formed a layer of defense. However, Li Zongjiu had used some unknown technique to break through her defense. She didn't know what technique he had used to break through her defense. At the same time, a terrifying wave of yuan power entered his body and broke his defense, instantly destroying his body. The lower half of his body was paralyzed. Roar! The two yuan beasts ran out to deal with Li Zongjiu. However, they realized that it was just an illusion. What they destroyed was only a little bit of yuan power. The yuan beasts reacted and roared, wanting to chase after their master to protect him. However, Li Zongjiu had already controlled their master. Since you dare to go against the Li family, you're destined to die. Li Zongjiu placed the steel blade in his hand on Su Feng's neck. The sharpness of the blade made Su Feng's body tremble uncontrollably. You can't kill me. I am the outer court deacon of the Thousand Beasts sect. Chapter 177. Su Feng's voice was also trembling. But at this moment, Su Feng was also stalling for time. As long as his meta beasts arrived in time, they would definitely be able to tear Li Zongjiu to shreds. He did not know where this Li Zongjiu came from. He actually ambushed him with a yuan adept level cultivation base. Oh. You are the Thousand Beasts sect's outer sect deacon. When Li Zongjiu heard this name, he could not help but sneer. The Thousand Beasts sect was indeed famous. With the Li family's current state, if they offended the Thousand Beasts sect, they would probably be annihilated. Su Feng felt that Li Zongjiu's actions had softened, so he quickly nodded and said, "That's right, I have a token as proof. If you let me go, I will leave immediately." As soon as he finished speaking, Su Feng felt Li Zongjiu loosen his grip. The yuan force in Su Feng's body immediately reconnected his broken bones. As a yuan adept level expert, even if his arms or legs were broken, he could still reconnect them temporarily. This was the benefit of having a strong yuan force. Li Zongjiu let go of Su Feng. Su Feng immediately ran forward. His two meta beasts had already arrived. After all, he was still a young man. However, the Thousand Beasts sect was too famous, so no one dared to offend them. Brat, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too young. Kill him. Li Zongjiu coldly looked at Su Feng. He already knew that Su Feng was not a good person. However, as soon as Su Feng finished speaking, he felt as if there was a dark cloud above his head. When he looked up, he saw the poison blood bat's sharp claws grabbing his head. The venom immediately entered his body, causing Su Feng to feel a trace of a terrifying aura. Was this the feeling of being invaded by the poison blood bat's venom? So cold, so painful. This was what Su Feng thought. Immediately after, the spike beast instantly flew over. Chi chi chi. The moment he opened his body, he directly pierced through Su Feng's body. Those sharp thorns. This caused Su Feng's body to be riddled with holes. Fresh blood flowed out from the wounds, and during this process, the blood gradually turned black. Because of the invasion of the poison blood bat's venom. Su Feng did not expect this. He was actually going to die under the claws of his own meta beast. Crack. The poison blood bat bit off Su Feng's head and crushed it in its mouth. Seeing such a miserable end, Li Zongjiu remained unmoved. You guys can go down as well. With a thought from Li Zongjiu, the spike beast and the poison blood bat both fell to the ground with a loud bang. Their mental energy was directly destroyed. As long as it was an enemy, there was no such thing as innocence. What's more, Li Zongjiu wouldn't allow any possibility to appear. He wouldn't allow any trouble to be left behind. He had to kill them all to prevent future troubles. He came to the front of the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. Li Zongjiu waved his hand and released his origin energy, cutting the surrounding vines into pieces. He took out the soul-breaking needle. He didn't expect Su Feng to use such an insidious weapon to deal with the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. It seemed that he had let Su Feng die too easily. He put away the soul-breaking needle. It was naturally a very satisfying thing to use such an insidious weapon on an enemy. This detoxification pill can temporarily suppress the poison. Li Zongjiu threw out a pill. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle opened its mouth and caught it. It swallowed it directly. Beep! After recovering some of its strength, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was extremely angry. However, the enemies were all dead. If they were still alive, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle would definitely not let them off easily. Let's go back to the city. Li Zongjiu took off Su Feng's waist token and the storage ring on his hand. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle soared into the sky. After breaking free, although the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was severely injured, it was still a peak level 3 origin beast. Its recovery ability was not ordinary and its endurance was also very high. It gritted its teeth and persevered as it brought Li Zongjiu back to Luoxia City. Whoosh! Li Zongjiu landed on the city wall. At this moment, the battle in the city had already ended. He saw Li Tianqing and the others rushing in from outside the city gate. Although they were a little late, it was fortunate that there was no greater danger. The sky gradually brightened and the morning glow covered the land, blooming a beautiful radiance. It seemed that the smell of blood had also been diluted. You're finally back. The Li family should pay for the repair of the city wall no matter what. Yi Chao said when he saw Li Zongjiu. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle returned to the Li family and recuperated. Gu Xuanwu also came to Li Zongjiu's side. Li Zongjiu didn't look very good. His hair was unkempt and his face was dirty. There were also many wounds on his body. Yi Chao was very curious about the person who could force Li Zongjiu into such a state. Of course. Apart from that, the Li family will bear all the losses in this battle. Li Zongjiu said. As a family of the underworld, the Li family must have a good relationship with the mayor's mansion if they wanted to survive. Growth was a win-win situation. Unless one could grow to a certain height and level, they could only cooperate with each other. Becoming an enemy of the mayor's mansion was equivalent to becoming an enemy of the Shengyan dynasty. This was not conducive to the long-term development of the Li family. The potential of the Shengyan dynasty had not been destroyed even after 3,000 years. This showed how firm the Shengyan dynasty was. It had gone through many ups and downs, but the Shengyan dynasty still stood strong. Yi Chao smiled when he heard Li Zongjiu's words. After Li Tianqing entered the city, he quickly went to the city wall. The rest of the guards were also sent to the Li family to investigate the situation. When he saw that Li Zongjiu had arrived before him, Li Tianqing was stunned for a moment, but he still greeted Yi Chao directly. Li Tianqing greets the mayor. No need to be so polite. These people are not only coming for you, but also for me. Yi Chao said slowly. However, there was a trace of worry in his eyes. He looked at the forest in front of him. There is only one person in the northern medicine city who can control so many beasts. This person is very strong and not to be trifled with. It seems that the Northern Medicine Alliance wants to show their power. We haven't escaped from this disaster yet. Yi Chao said. Who is the person who attacked us this time? Li Tianqing asked in a deep voice. The enemy has already come to our home. Why should we be afraid of them? No matter who you are, since you have attacked us, we will wait for the Li family's revenge. Even if there is no one in the Li family who can deal with you, the Li family is rich. If they are rich, they can hire an expert to kill you. The assassin industry has never disappeared in the underground market. If the Northern Medicine Alliance wants to show their power, the Li family is not afraid of you. If I'm not wrong, it should be Su Feng from the Thousand Beasts sect. He has already become an outer deacon. At the same time, he is also the sworn brother of the Northern Medicine Alliance's current leader, Fu Chunlei. Hearing this, Li Tianqing's eyes were filled with shock and he fell into deep thought. If it was an ordinary expert, it would not be a big deal. However, it was someone from the Thousand Beasts sect. No one dared to offend the Thousand Beasts sect. Even the Snow Elixir sect did not dare to provoke the Thousand Beasts sect. Even the fact that Fu Chunlei was able to take over the Northern Medicine Alliance was probably because of the Thousand Beasts sect. Oh right, I saw the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle being lured away. Why, was it rescued? Yi Chao looked at Li Zongjiu and asked. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was able to intimidate the beasts in the city and deter them from being too arrogant. It was because of the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle that the beasts became arrogant. Yes, I rescued it. As for Su Feng, I have already killed him. Li Zongjiu said. At the same time, he took out Su Feng's identity token and handed it to Yi Chao. Yi Chao's eyes widened when he heard this. Is Li Zongjiu joking? That Su Feng was a level 3 beast tamer, and he himself was an origin general. When Yi Chao saw the words, Thousand Beasts Sect, carved on the token, he gasped. It really was Su Feng's token. Li Tianqing, who was standing at the side, could only watch helplessly. Just a moment ago, he was still thinking about how he could get rid of Su Feng. After all, Su Feng was in control of the massive army of beasts, and could form an army of his own at any time. It was extremely dangerous. However, in the blink of an eye, Li Zongjiu had already killed Su Feng. What a good son. Chapter 178. I'll kill his meta beast as well. Li Zongjiu added. At first, Yi Chao was worried that the meta beast would go into a revenge mode if he didn't kill the beast tamer well. It would only let go if the beast tamer was killed because the beast tamer was stained with its master's blood. That was why the beast tamer was not to be trifled with. If he wanted to kill this beast tamer and get rid of any future troubles, he would have to kill all of these meta beasts. Kid, you're really terrifying. These people want to fish in troubled waters, but they won't succeed. You guys better be prepared. The people from the Northern Medicine Alliance are here to cause trouble. Yi Chao said in a deep voice. The next time they come, it won't be so simple. There's no need for that. I'll find a messenger to deliver the badge to them. Li Zongjiu called over a Li family guard and gave him the 1,000 beasts sex token. Yes, young master. Don't worry. I won't let them go easily. I'll write a letter. Father, send someone to deliver it to the Fog Snow Alchemy sect. Hearing about the Fog Snow Alchemy sect, Yi Chao couldn't help but glance at Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu was indeed a disciple of the Fog Snow Alchemy sect. Could it be that Li Zongjiu had some powerful friends in the Fog Snow Alchemy sect? All right. Li Tianqing nodded, but he still had to go back and write the letter. After handing over some things, Li Tianqing and Li Zongjiu left with their people. They had been back for so long, but they still hadn't gone back to check on the family. They didn't know what kind of losses they had suffered. Currently, there were no reports of casualties. After all, they had made preparations in advance. The beast tamer's attack wasn't sudden. Since Li Tianqing knew about the operation a few days in advance, the Li family must have made preparations. However, no one expected that these people would dare to attack in such a way. Clean up the wolf corpses outside. The meat of these beasts is good for strengthening the muscles and bones. Let's have a good meal tonight. Yi Chao said to his general. The Luoxia city was neither big nor small, and there were a total of 3,000 guards. Of course, if these 4 city gates were divided equally, it wouldn't be much. The armed forces of Guanxi town had at least 700 to 800 people, not to mention the larger Luoxia city. The main purpose of having a team of 3,000 people was to deal with attacks from meta beasts or bandits. 3,000 people weren't considered a lot in such situations. In a normal grade 3 city, the number of guards would start from 20,000. As for the specifics, it still depended on the situation. This quota also required an application process. If it was a city with a high safety factor, 5,000 people would be enough. Not far away, Ying Lai also appeared. He had heard everything Li Zongjiu said. Since Sunset City can't tolerate me, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Last night, Ying Lai's words were directly refuted by Yi Chao and he was even scolded. If he continued to shamelessly stay here, it would be meaningless. Hence, he might as well leave. In Ying Lai's opinion, Li Zongjiu's conspiracy to deal with the Northern Medicine Alliance was tantamount to walking into a trap. He was digging his own grave. If he reported this information, he might be able to receive a handsome reward. Most importantly, he would be able to rely on a big tree like the Northern Medicine Alliance. Ying Lai was tired of staying in such a small place. I, Ying Lai, have great ambitions, but I'm here waiting for death with an old man like you. Leaving will definitely be a loss for Sunset City. I, Ying Lai, will repay the humiliation I suffered today tenfold. And that damn Li family. That stinking brat, when have I, Ying Lai, been treated like this? I'll definitely cripple you. Ying Lai left in anger. Everything in Luoxia City would be subjected to Ying Lai's vengeance. Li Zongjiu returned to the Li family. The outer perimeter wall had been directly destroyed. The pavement on the street was more or less trampled beyond recognition. There were also many bloodstains on the road. Some wild beasts would kill each other. There were all kinds of situations. The shocking scratches on the ground were extremely terrifying in the eyes of ordinary people. The means of this beast tamer is really terrifying. Li Tianqing saw this scene along the way and he was extremely shocked. Fortunately, Li Zongjiu had already killed that person. Otherwise, if this happened again, Sunset City would be dragged to its death one day. At that time, the Li family would cease to exist. Why are there scorch marks all around? Li Tianqing and Li Zongjiu looked around. Li Tianqing curiously asked. The grass on the ground had very obvious scorch marks. Moreover, it seemed that the strength of the flames was not low. He's the one who attacked. Li Zongjiu glanced at it and knew that it must be Wang Jing's doing. Family head, Zongjiu, you're here. When Li Gui and the others rushed back to the Li family, Li Yun knew that the reinforcements had come. Fortunately, Master Wang Jing is here this time. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to stop these wild beasts. Li Yun said. It's him. Even Li Tianqing was surprised. After all, Wang Jing's appearance was not good, and he was young. Most importantly, he loved to eat. How could such a fat body have so many skills? However, Wang Jing's alchemy skills had won over the people of the Li family's alchemy hall. They were very obedient to Wang Jing's wisdom. They cultivated as they should, and even used some strange methods to cultivate. Who would have thought that the person who saved the Li family this time would be Wang Jing? Where is he? Li Zongjiu could not help but ask. Wang Jing did not disappoint him. However, according to his character, he should have escaped long ago. According to Li Zongjiu's understanding of Wang Jing. But now, it seemed that Wang Jing had some feelings for the Li family. Otherwise, with this guy's temperament, he would have fled at the slightest sign of danger. He's severely exhausted and fainted. He's now recuperating in the quiet moon pavilion. Li Yun said. Then let him sleep first. Li Zongjiu went to the study and wrote a letter. He asked someone to deliver it to the Fog Snow Alchemy sect. Then, he asked someone to bring some herbs from the storeroom. The person did not say anything. After all, it was Li Zongjiu who asked for these herbs. Moreover, Li Zongjiu's position in the Li family was very important, so his words carried a lot of weight. However, these herbs were all poisonous. It made people wonder what the young master wanted them for. Earth Fire Pavilion. Li Zongjiu came here again. However, Li Zongjiu did not come here to absorb the power of the earth fire. Instead, he came here to temper his golden body. Given my current state, it will be difficult for me to kill my way into the Northern Medicine Alliance. I have to improve as soon as possible. It would be best if I could reach the Origin General Realm. Li Zongjiu thought to himself. It was still unknown whether there was an Origin Ancestor Realm expert in the Northern Medicine Alliance. Therefore, he had to be fully prepared. Even if they were to face a Sky Origin Ancestor level powerhouse, they would still need to be prepared to kill him. The longevity of the Li family was not just a matter of words. It had to be achieved with blood and swords. Heartbreak Grass, Heart-Splitting Orchid, Burning Soul Flower. These are all highly poisonous things. Even an Origin Ancestor Realm expert would die instantly if they came into contact with them. The blood poison bat's Yuan crystal also possesses a potent poison effect. If you combine them together, you will be able to refine a true poison pill. A pitch-black origin crystal appeared in Li Zongjiu's hand. It was possible to identify the blood poison bat's spiritual body in this origin crystal. Open the furnace and gather the fire. Chapter 179. Guanxi Town. After the previous bustling scene, Guanxi Town had regained its peace. The deaths of a few people didn't affect Guanxi Town much. The businesses that were left empty were quickly replaced by others. Naturally, some of the posts that were missing were replaced by others. Guanxi Town continued to operate without any disturbances. However, the position of the guard was still vacant for the time being. No one in Guanxi Town dared to act recklessly. After all, the Shin family was still here. Who was behind the Shin family? The Jing family of Cerulean Wave Giant City. It would be better for them to behave themselves in the future. Otherwise, they would suffer a terrible fate. I heard that the new guard has some bad omen. I don't know if it's true, but he hasn't woken up yet. Yeah, what you said might be true. But please don't bring any disaster to our Guanxi Town. I was wondering why there was a change in the guard. This position is not easy to sit in, there were countless rumors in the streets. Some said that the new guard was possessed, some said that he was killed, and some said that he was indulging in debauchery all day and died in the belly of a woman. Meanwhile, in the Shin family, everyone was standing outside the bamboo forest clinic. The old man was weak, so he took a rattan chair and sat down. It had been a day and a night. Was the girl that Li Zongjio had invited back good enough? Some people were already doubting her. However, Shin Xinxiao was determined to prevent anyone from stepping into the clinic. After all, the girl was young and did not seem to be very capable. However, Shin Xinxiao trusted his son and Li Zongjio. He would never be careless in this kind of matter. Therefore, everyone persevered and waited. It was close to dawn. From the time this young lady went in and Li Zongjio left, it had been 1 day and 1 night and 1 day. At dawn, the surroundings were quiet. There were already quite a few people who couldn't hold on any longer and fell asleep at the side. The guards of the Shin family had to stay close to them. Gigi, Shin Xinxiao, who was lying on the table drowsily, opened his eyes when he heard that. He got up and saw Nanxing walking out. Pharmacist Nanxing, what's the situation? Shin Xinxiao immediately stepped forward and said excitedly. Some of the Shin brothers and Shin Nanxiao's wife also woke up and looked nervously at Nanxing, who was carrying a medicine box. Nanxing first scanned his surroundings before he gently furrowed his brows. It was as if he was extremely dissatisfied with the fact that someone was not waiting here. It's fine. You guys deal with this blood poison bug yourselves. He'll wake up tomorrow at noon. Nanxing said. The Shin family also invited an alchemist to investigate the room. He discovered that Shin Nanxiao had already regained his color and aura. However, his body was still a little weak. Beside the table, there was a bottle of potion hanging upside down. The potion, along with a needle, pierced into Shin Nanxiao's wrist. At this rate, it would all be gone by noon the next day. This was the first time this old apothecary had seen such a treatment method. It was breathtaking. Amazing, it's really amazing. When Shin Chunqiu and the others heard that Shin Nanxiao's condition had improved and that he was no longer in danger, they were all excited and happy. Thank you very much, miss. How much is the consultation fee this time? The Shin family will definitely give it all to you. Shin Chunqiu hurriedly said. With such a thing happening to his son, how could he eat or sleep? I'm not taking any money. Where did the kid who brought me here go? Nanxing walked around for a long time but did not see Li Zongjio. That damn kid couldn't have run away, right? Hearing that he was not taking any money, Shin Chunqiu was stunned. Who would not take money to see a doctor? However, when he heard the second half of Nanxing's sentence, he came to a realization. So it was because of his little grandson's charisma. He was really something. Why didn't he bring such a powerful alchemist here? It's like this, Nanxing. I'm Zongjio's mother. After Zongjio brought you here, he left because he had some urgent matters to attend to. This is the letter he asked me to pass to you. As he spoke, Shin Xinxiao passed the letter that he had been holding to his chest to Nanxing. Letter? Nanxing took the letter from Shin Xinxiao's hand. She opened it and glanced at it before keeping it. Men are indeed unreliable. I want to see how you're going to give me this in half a year's time. This was what Nanxing muttered in her heart. Although she did not receive any consultation fee this time, Nanxing's goal was never to make money. If she wanted to make money, with Nanxing's standard, she would be treated as a guest of honor in any large city. Why would she go to the Blackwater Forest to treat people for free? Furthermore, this money was of no use to her. Since the treatment is over, I'll take my leave. If there's anything else, you can find me at the Blackwater Forest Clinic. Nanxing summoned the Nine Flames Heavenly Sparrow. These days, the Nine Flames Heavenly Sparrow had eaten all kinds of delicacies in the Shin family. After all, the Shin family hunted for a living and the Nine Flames Heavenly Sparrow loved to eat all kinds of fresh meat. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? You should at least stay for a meal. It's almost time for breakfast, Shin Xinxiao said. However, the 9 Flames Heavenly Sparrow's body had already soared into the sky. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared from the sky and could no longer be seen. Shen Xinqiao was extremely surprised by Nan Sheng's hurried arrival. It was as if he was a chivalrous doctor in the underworld. There was really such a free and easy person in the world. If Zhong Jiu is together with this girl in the future, I don't know if he can take care of her. However, from what I saw just now, there shouldn't be a problem. Shen Xinqiao thought in his heart. However, no matter what, Shen Nanxiao's illness had been cured. This was the best outcome. Northern Medicine City. On the southeast street of the city, there was a 7-story fragrant medicine tower. This was a medicine tower. It was the land of the Northern Medicine Alliance. The first floor was where elixirs were sold. The second floor was the VIP reception room where the elixir refining plan could be customized. The specific price could be discussed slowly. The third and fourth floors were where the alchemists refined elixirs. The fifth floor was the conference room of the Northern Medicine Alliance. The sixth floor was where the Alliance Master of the Northern Medicine Alliance lived. The seventh floor was where the past Alliance Masters were enshrined. In other words, the memorial tablets of those who had contributed to the Northern Medicine Alliance. This was the entire place. At this moment, in front of the memorial tablets on the 7th floor, a figure stood. This person was dressed luxuriously and his eyes were like heavy pearls. In his hand, there was a token. Su Feng, don't worry. If I don't take revenge, Fu Chunlei will be struck by lightning. After saying that, Fu Chunlei placed the 1,000 Beasts sect's deacon token in front of the memorial tablet. Is there someone from Luoxia City who came to surrender? Fu Chunlei stood with his hands behind his back, as if he was asking the air. A person in black clothes with red edges walked out from the darkness. He wore a pointed bamboo hat and looked like a fisherman catching fish. Alliance Master, it's the advisor of the City Lord Mansion. His name is Ying Lai and he claims to have brought important information. Bring him to the 6th floor. I want to question him personally. Yes. Chapter 180. Ying Lai stood in the middle of the hall. It was said that the Alliance Master of the Northern Medicine Alliance wanted to meet him personally. Ying Lai could not help but feel nervous. He had to perform well. If he caught the Alliance Master's eye, he might be able to achieve meteoric success. However, the surrounding atmosphere was a little strange for Ying Lai. This was because there seemed to be something soaking in some of the bottles and jars around him. Ying Lai was familiar with this brewing method. Some people like to drink medicinal wine, which was brewed in this way. However, Ying Lai looked at the jars and found that they did not contain snakes, insects, rats, or ants. They looked more like parts of a human body. Ying Lai felt his hair stand on end when he thought of this. Are you Ying Lai? A cold voice sounded from behind Ying Lai. Ying Lai immediately turned around and bowed to the person who came. Ying Lai greets the Alliance Master. Before he came, he had already inquired about the situation. The current alliance leader of the Northern Medicine Alliance was under Fu Chunlei's control. With the help of his brother, Su Feng, Fu Chunlei had obtained the position of alliance leader. Before this, Fu Chunlei was just an ordinary elder. It was as if he suddenly had great power and support. Not only did he take over the position of the leader of the Northern Medicine Alliance, but he also negotiated with the powers behind the Northern Medicine Alliance. If the Alliance Master of the Northern Medicine Alliance wanted to gain a foothold, he must have the support of other powers. At times like this, tactics were extremely important. Otherwise, it was very likely that these forces would choose to cooperate with other alchemist alliances. During this period of time, there would be mutual benefits. There would be no eternal enemies, and no eternal friends. Between them, there was even less of a subordinate relationship. From the fact that Fu Chunlei had the ability to persuade the various powers behind the Northern Medicine Alliance, it was obvious that Fu Chunlei had extraordinary abilities. Otherwise, these rich people wouldn't have let Fu Chunlei off so easily. You have some eyesight. Fu Chunlei snorted coldly. He then sat in his seat and placed the 1,000 Beasts sex token on the table. You better give me a proper explanation about my brother. How did Su Feng die? Ying Lai felt as if a pair of sharp claws were hanging on his neck. If he made the slightest mistake, this pair of claws would snap his neck without hesitation. This terrifying aura of life and death was like a bone-chilling wind to Ying Lai. The gap between the two of them seemed to be a little too big. However, this Fu Chunlei was merely an alliance master. Why would he have such a feeling? Alliance leader, Lord Su Feng was killed by the young master of the Li family, Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu? Was it that kid who was still in his teens? Do you think I'm a fool? Fu Chunlei suddenly slammed his palm on the table, his anger rising. Ying Lai also felt his legs go soft, and he immediately knelt on the ground. Please calm down, alliance leader. I'm not lying. Li Zongjiu possesses a secret technique. He was only a Yuan master, yet he was able to kill a Yuan general powerhouse. Ying Lai's eyes were cold as he spoke. Although he did not know exactly what was strange about Li Zongjiu, he knew that Li Zongjiu had to have some sort of secret. Otherwise, how could an ordinary person do such a thing? This was simply impossible. Not only that, but the Northern Medicine Alliance's Deputy Alliance Master, Shang Quan, and Protector Jin Yohu were all killed by this young man. It's absolutely true. Before I arrived, I overheard Li Zongjiu writing a letter to the Foggy Snow Alchemy sect. He was preparing to gather people to attack the Northern Medicine Alliance. Without waiting for Fu Chunlei to interrogate him, Ying Lai spilled the beans and told Fu Chunlei everything that had happened. Join forces with the Foggy Snow Alchemy sect. Fu Chunlei frowned. No wonder Li Zongjiu was so bold. The Foggy Snow Alchemy sect lived in seclusion on the Foggy Snow Mountain. It was almost isolated from the outside world. Outsiders did not know how strong it was, but it was only recorded in the official records of the dynasty. It was just a third-rate sect. Moreover, it was at the bottom of a third-rate sect. Such strength was not enough for Fu Chunlei to fear. However, Fu Chunlei was very interested in Li Zongjiu. Is this the news you brought? Fu Chunlei looked at Ying Lai below and said indifferently. He was like a high and mighty king looking down on his slave. Ying Lai did not dare to raise his head. Instead, he lowered his body even more. Very well, go and receive your reward. Fu Chunlei said. Ying Lai's face immediately revealed a look of ecstasy when he heard this. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Alliance leader. Seeing Ying Lai's submissive attitude, Fu Chunlei sat in his seat and felt very comfortable. This was the benefit of power, which was why he, Fu Chunlei, did not care about the price and wanted to sit in this position. I didn't expect that the first person to provoke me would be a small family in this unrated city. This is simply an insult to me. However, since this Fog Snow Alchemy sect wants to interfere and take some benefits, then don't blame me for cutting off your hand. Fu Chunlei's eyes were cold. Inform the Iron Leg sect and the Cold Light sect. Let them be prepared. A figure walked out of the empty room and bowed to Fu Chunlei with his hands clasped together. Yes, Alliance leader. Since you're here, then let me properly entertain you. Fu Chunlei naturally wanted to teach them a lesson when someone came to provoke them. At the same time, he wanted to seek justice for Su Feng's death. And this justice was the heads of the entire Li family. Only in this way could he give his brothers an explanation. At this moment, in the sky above the Li family in Sunset City, several white cranes flew down from the sky. When they saw these white cranes descending from the sky, the people of the Li family were shocked. Patriarch Li, how have you been? Lin Sung landed from the white crane. Behind Li Tianqing were the elders of the Li family, as well as Gu Xuanwu. So it's Peak Master Lin. When Li Tianqing saw Lin Song coming, his face was immediately filled with excitement. He never thought that Li Zongjiu's casual letter would actually invite Lin Song over. Behind Lin Song, there were 3 old men. From the looks of it, their auras were quite extraordinary. Come, let me introduce you. This is Elder Qin Lai, this is Elder Wutong, and this is Elder Jin Shui. Li Tianqing listened to Lin Song's introduction. They were all elders of the Fog Snow Alchemy sect. 3 of them came at once. How could this be? To be able to become an elder of the Fog Snow Alchemy sect, their strength was basically at the general realm. Didn't this mean that the sect had 4 general realm experts? When did Li Zongjiu become so capable? Even Li Tianqing never thought that Li Zongjiu would have such strength. Li Tianqing greets the elders. Li Tianqing hurriedly clasped his hands, but these seemingly cold elders waved their hands. Patriarchally, there's no need to be so polite. If you need anything in the future, just send someone to instruct us. Ha, the scenery of Sunset City is quite good. We'll have to come here a few more times in the future. Qin Lai stepped forward and said. Elder Jin Shui and Elder Wutong were both elders of the Blazing Peak. They were also brought here by Qin Lai this time. Li Zongjiu was now extremely famous in the Fog Snow Alchemy sect. Who could possibly escape from the 9-headed fatal octopus? Only Li Zongjiu could do it. That's right, Elder Qin Lai is absolutely right. These elders were also flattering each other about Luoxia City. This scene of people fawning over Luoxia City was simply a little shocking to Li Tianqing. It was even a little subversive. Who would have thought that these elders would be so enthusiastic? It was completely unlike the legendary cold and unapproachable level. By the way, Zongjiu is still cultivating in seclusion. We're not sure when he'll come out, Li Tianqing said. It's fine, we have nothing to do. We'll disturb you here for a few days. It's the Li family's honor. Chapter 181. Li Family, Earth Fire Pavilion. Li Zongjiu withdrew his yuan power, and the temperature of the cauldron in front of him gradually dropped. Then, Li Zongjiu took out the item from the cauldron. It was a pitch-black elixir. The elixir itself emitted a dark and cold aura. Even if one came into contact with the elixir, they would probably be corroded and devoured by the terrifying aura of the elixir. If one ate such a highly toxic elixir, even a Sky Origin Ancestor Realm expert would find it difficult to resist such a terrifying poison. Fortunately, I added a little vanilla before I took it out of the cauldron. Otherwise, the smell would definitely be very unpleasant. Li Zongjiu thought to himself. Although the elixir was refined by him, and the degree of cleanliness was absolutely reassuring, it was a poisonous elixir that was condensed from poison. It had not undergone any special refinement, so it would emit a foul smell. When the foul smell hit, it would make one's stomach churn. It also made people feel nauseous. How could they still think of eating it? Only a fool would eat it. Therefore, Li Zongjiu added some vanilla to adjust the smell. The effect of this elixir, in addition to the attribute enhancement brought about by the White Dragon Origin Spirit, I wonder if this body can withstand it. Li Zongjiu thought to himself. The White Dragon Origin Spirit could increase one's mental strength. At the same time, when consuming the elixir and refining the herbs, it could absorb 200% of the energy. It was equivalent to Li Zongjiu eating one elixir, which meant that others would have to eat 2. This was the effect of the elixir. On the other hand, the effect of the poison was the same. Even Li Zongjiu was somewhat fearful and uncertain in his heart. After all, he was taking the initiative to test the poison, and under the circumstances that his strength was not that strong, he could only hope that his body could withstand it. Come on. He circulated the ancient golden tyrant body art. Li Zongjiu opened his mouth and swallowed the highly toxic elixir. The moment he swallowed it, Li Zongjiu felt that the elixir had turned into a liquid knife and directly cut his body from his throat. The terrifying corrosiveness that was constantly devouring his body. Li Zongjiu's body was almost instantly eroded. Oh no, the poison is too strong. Li Zongjiu had never expected that he would spit out a mouthful of blood not long after swallowing it. Pfft! The blood had already turned pitch black. The poison was too strong, almost causing the ancient golden tyrant body art to be unable to keep up. Blood bead. Li Zongjiu immediately grabbed a handful of blood beads and stuffed them into his mouth. As the blood bead entered his body, Li Zongjiu's essence blood, essence qi, and spirit became even more exuberant. At this moment, they suddenly erupted. Boom! As the power of the blood beads spread throughout his body, Li Zongjiu's ancient golden tyrant body art continued to operate and directly stabilized his body's strength. The poison was constantly destroying his body, and the ancient golden tyrant body art was also constantly repairing itself. During this repairing process, it was also helping Li Zongjiu to constantly increase his strength. I finally endured it. Although only a few seconds had passed, Li Zongjiu had already walked through the gates of hell. The terrifying poison was spreading in his body, and if he was not careful, it was very likely that his body would be directly corroded. At that time, not even his skin would be left. What else was there to cultivate? Fortunately, even though Li Zongjiu's yuan power did not increase during the refining process, he could clearly feel a change in the strength of his physical body. Like a piece of diamond, the impurities within were removed, leaving behind the toughest and purest part. The golden tyrant body art. The golden dragon rune on the yuan bead within his body lit up, and the golden dragon original spirit appeared around his body. In the process of raising his cultivation base, Li Zongjiu had also gained some insights. Immediately, his mind moved. The power of the golden dragon original spirit immediately poured into his right hand. But in the end, all of it was poured into a single finger. Li Zongjiu felt the power of this finger. This finger was enough to penetrate the body of an ancestor origin expert, break his defense, and directly kill him. This is the legendary golden finger. Li Zongjiu could not help but think. When he performed this move, his right index finger had already turned completely golden. This finger could be said to be the transformation of the power of the golden dragon original spirit. However, this finger could also be said to be indestructible. At the same time, it was also indestructible. If someone wanted to arm wrestle, they would not be able to move this finger. This move shall be called the golden dragon finger. Li Zongjiu thought that this would become one of his killing moves. At the very least, among all the skills that Li Zongjiu had learned, there was almost no one who could instantly kill an ancestor origin expert. Moreover, this was under the condition that his cultivation was only at grade 7. This golden dragon finger could. It could easily kill an ancestor origin expert. However, Li Zongjiu had to be able to perform this move effectively. If he encountered an enemy who also performed the same move, he might have already been turned into powder by the time this move touched his opponent. Therefore, the move still depended on how it was performed. Of course, if the gap was too big, it would not be easy to make up for it. It only took an hour to refine the poison pill. This was because if he couldn't refine the poison within an hour, he would be poisoned to death. There was no doubt about it. Then, Li Zongjiu recovered for a while. Only then did he get up. When he stood up, the bones in his body also emitted a crackling sound, as if he had been reborn. This caused Li Zongjiu to be extremely amazed. The effect of this ancient golden body art is really overbearing. Li Zongjiu came out of seclusion because he had heard that Lin Sung had arrived. In addition, Qin Lai and the others had also come, which surprised Li Zongjiu. After all, Li Zongjiu had only said in the letter that he wanted to find a few people to go with him to the Northern Medicine Alliance. However, he had not expected that Lin Sung would directly invite the Great Elder, Qin Lai. Qin Lai's strength was also extremely tyrannical. To be able to become the Great Elder, his own strength had to be very strong. Since you're all here, I'll thank you first. Since you're already here, there's no going back. If you run away because of fear, you'll be my, Li Zongjiu's, enemy. Li Zongjiu said to Qin Lai and the others, and his words were not polite. Li Tianqing's eyes widened when he heard this. These elders of the Fog Snow Pills sect, how could they accept such a threat? Was Li Zongjiu too arrogant? However, looking at the expressions of Qin Lai and the others, they did not seem to be dissatisfied. Protector Li, don't worry. Since we're here, we'll naturally endure until the end. Li Tianqing looked at Li Zongjiu with a frown. Zongjiu, what are you going to do? Don't worry, father. I'm going to reason with them. Li Zongjiu said with a smile. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle still stayed in the Li family. Since the last time, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle had learned to be smart. Although its injuries had not fully healed, its combat strength was very impressive. It could easily resist some ordinary invaders. A skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. Moreover, the camel was not dead yet. The group of people also rode on the white crane and headed towards the northern medicine city. Li Tianqing's heart was also on tenterhooks. He didn't know what kind of trouble Li Zongjiu would cause this time. However, Li Tianqing did not have time to idle. Soon, a report came from the Flying Cloud City. Patriarch, there's a new situation at the Huangyuan Ore. Chapter 182. With the speed of the white crane, it would only take a day and a half to reach northern medicine city. It was not an exaggeration to say that they could travel 1,000 miles in a day. However, Li Zongjiu and the others did not directly enter northern medicine city on the white crane. They were here to cause trouble for the Northern Medicine Alliance, not Northern Medicine City. They still had to abide by the rules of the city. If it was similar to the small city from before, they could still be a little arrogant. However, Northern Medicine City was already a mature third-class city. Similar to Flying Cloud City, although it also had the same configuration as the Merchant Alliance, because the facilities in all aspects were not complete, and even some of the equipment did not reach the standard, it only slightly passed the standard of a third-grade city. It was only slightly better than Luoxia City. If a Merchant Alliance appeared in Luoxia City, its strength and status would be the same as Flying Cloud City. The standards are not clear, but as one of them, you are naturally aware of the difference. If you want to numb yourself to ignore these differences, you will only be deceiving yourself. The real difference was there, never disappearing or changing. For example, Giant Emerald Wave City and Qingzhou City were both second-class cities. However, Giant Emerald Wave City's strength was 10 times that of Qingzhou City. There were even some that only existed in name, and some had even become ghost cities. There were countless such cases, and there were all kinds of situations. Northern Medicine City in front of them was considered to be above average among the third-class cities. In Dinghuan Province, there were many third-class cities that could surpass Northern Medicine City. The reason why Northern Medicine City was famous was because there were countless medicinal gardens in Northern Medicine City. This was because the land was once watered by the blood of high-level meta beasts, leaving behind a large amount of meta chi. Therefore, the soil here was more suitable for growing some spiritual herbs. The quality of these spiritual herbs was also better. Almost every household could become a reserve for medicinal herbs and had most of the medicinal herbs. The largest medicinal herb merchant in Dinghuan Province had also set up a branch here. 1000 Flavor Herb Hall. It was a branch of the Medicinal Herb Merchant Alliance. In 1000 Flavor Herb Hall, you could find the medicinal herbs you needed as long as you had enough money. A young man arrived in front of the 1000 Flavors Herb Hall. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu had worked with 1000 Flavors Herb Hall many times. After all, they were both from Dinghuan Province, so he had helped them a few times. They could be considered as fellow countrymen in the entire Xingyan dynasty. However, the potential of the 1000 Flavors Herb Hall was limited. No matter how high it was, it could not reach. In the end, it could only become the giant of herbs in Dinghuan Province. Even so, it was enough for them to occupy this place. Welcome to the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall. Here is a guide list for herbs. If you have any questions, you can ask me at any time. A female attendant who was in charge of introducing the herbs said softly. His attire was that of an alchemist, but there was also a badge on his chest with the words, "Apprentice," written on it. He was an apprentice pharmacist. This Thousand Flavors Herb Hall was the largest herb shop in Dingkuan province. Even if one could work here, one would be able to come into contact with all kinds of herbs. It was a good place for a pharmacist to learn. As for whether or not one could learn effectively, that would depend on oneself. This kind of thing could never be blamed on the environment. Do you have any grade 4 herbs? Li Zhongjiu had obtained the Heavenly Veins 7 stars from the Fog Snow Valley. He was worried that he did not have any supplementary herbs to refine the Heavenly Veins elixir. Now that he was in the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall, of course, he would take a good look around. Grade 4 herbs. The apprentice pharmacist was shocked when he heard this. He stared at Li Zhongjiu with his eyes wide open. He was just a young man of 16 or 17 years old. The old man behind him looked like a wise man. Grade 4 herbs were enough to refine a grade 4 elixir. They belonged to the level of ancestor origin experts. Could it be that the young man in front of him, or the old man, had the ability to refine a grade 4 elixir? In the entire northern medicine city, there were only 3 grade 3 alchemists. One of them was the manager of the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall. The second was the chief alchemist of the City Lord Mansion of Northern Medicine City. He was also the first guest of the City Lord Mansion. The third person was the only Alchemist Alliance in the city. He used to be the leader of the Northern Medicine Alliance. However, it was said that some time ago, the leader of the Northern Medicine Alliance had passed away. The new leader seemed to only be an advanced grade 2 alchemist. It seemed that it was not so easy to break through the realm of a grade 3 alchemist. Grade 4 herbs were difficult to refine even for a grade 3 alchemist. In the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall, there were only a few treasures of the shop. As for the value of these herbs, they were worth more than 10 million yuan. Therefore, the woman was also sizing up Li Zhongjiu. First, she was curious who Li Zhongjiu was. Second, she wanted to see if Li Zhongjiu had the ability to refine elixirs. Grade 4 herbs. Yes, you can look at the last page directly. However, they are all treasures of the shop, the apprentice pharmacist said. Today was the young girl's first day of work, so she maintained her enthusiasm. However, the young girl didn't expect to meet such a big customer on her first day. Could it be that the atmosphere in the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall was like this? However, this young lady also maintained her rationality. As an apprentice alchemist, she also needed to know that one could not judge a book by its cover. Usually, there were some powerful alchemists who usually dressed like a beggar and did not care about their appearance. At the same time, one would not be able to tell from their appearance that they had the ability to refine elixirs. The young woman had seen with her own eyes that a person who liked to pick up scrap metal on the street to sell at the old goods market could easily refine a grade 2 elixir. Collecting scrap metal was just a hobby. There were really all kinds of people. Therefore, when Li Zhongjiu asked, she answered very seriously. Li Zhongjiu turned to the last page. There were at most 3 types. I want this 1,000-year ice-toad nonsense grass. Li Zhongjiu pointed at the guidebook in his hand and said. This. Please wait a moment. I will go and ask the chief. The chief here should be similar to a supervisor. It was what they called it internally. There was no problem with it. After all, no one would care about it. Li Zhongjiu did not leave and just stood there. The young woman skipped away. Behind him, Lin Sung stood there like a loyal butler. It was currently noon. According to Li Zhongjiu, there was no rush to take revenge. First, eat a good meal. Only after eating would they have the strength to kill. Qin Lai and the others were preparing in a restaurant. Li Zongjiu happened to see the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall's shop below and came in to see if there were any herbs. It just so happened that Li Zongjiu needed this ice-toad nonsense grass. The price shown on the book was 17.66 million gold coins. This number was not something an ordinary person could afford. That Luoxia cities by clan only earned a few million yuan from the handling fees and so on throughout the year. This herb was enough to crush the entire Bai family. The Bai family had to sell all of their shops and land in order to raise so much money. Soon, the chief of the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall walked over. She was a mature woman in her 30s. Her figure was graceful and her almond-shaped eyes were full of love. When she saw Li Zongjiu and Lin Song, she knew that the two of them were not good-looking. However, the aura they exuded was extremely unique. Customers who did not discuss the price and directly placed an order did exist. However, they were usually only found in second-grade or first-grade cities. She had been here for a long time and was unfamiliar with the two people in front of her. She could not remember their names. Looking at them, she guessed that they were from some big family. "Young master, I am the chief of the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall, Lu Manxian. This ice-toad nonsense grass is stored in our ice storage. If you need it, you can pay the bill first and wait for an hour to get it." Lu Manxian came in front of Li Zongjiu and said to Li Zongjiu. From the way the two of them stood, Li Zongjiu was obviously the master. "Yes." Li Zongjiu nodded. However, he did not take out his wallet. Lu Manxian also looked at Li Zongjiu. The two of them were in a deadlock for a while. Lin Song stood firmly in place. Li Zongjiu waited for a while and could not help but turn his head to look at Lin Song. "Why are you looking at me? How can I have so much money?" Lin Song was stunned when Li Zongjiu looked at him. Chapter 183. Lin Song felt wronged. He was just a peak master of the Fog Snow Alchemy sect. Moreover, he had been trapped here for half a year. Although he had a lot of gold coins, he couldn't just casually take out 10 million gold coins. Did he think he was running a bank? It was possible to open a bank, but if it was some sect, how could they have so much money in their hands? The scene was extremely awkward. As a peak master, you can't even take out 10 million gold coins. Li Zongjiu also cast a disdainful look at him. However, when it came to money, Li Zongjiu didn't have much in his storage ring. "Take out whatever you have." In the end, Lin Song also took out his entire fortune. It was a total of 200,000 gold coins. Li Zongjiu rummaged through his pockets, and in the end, he only found 3,000 gold coins. Li Zongjiu didn't know when the money came into his pocket. Lu Manxian and the apprentice looked at each other. Who exactly were these two people in front of him? Were they here to show off? However, they didn't get angry. After all, they didn't say they didn't have money. "Wait a moment," Li Zongjiu said. Then, he looked at the high-end restaurant behind him and waved his hand. At this moment, Qin Lai and the others were about to order food. When they saw Li Zongjiu waving his hand, it seemed that something was wrong. Protector Li seems to have some trouble. Let's go down and take a look," Qin Lai said. The three of them walked into the Thousand Flavors Herb Hall. Li Zongjiu opened his palm. "Hand over all the money you have on you." Qin Lai and the other two were also confused. "What?" In the end, the three of them searched their pockets. Elder Jin Shui was even more ruthless. He directly took out a stack of gold notes from his shoes. However, the total wealth of the three elders of the Fog Snow Alchemy sect was only 1,600,000 gold coins. On average, each of them didn't even have 600,000 gold coins. How can the first elder of the Fierce Peak be as poor as you? Li Zongjiu held the 1 million gold coins in his hand and immediately scolded the four old men in front of him. One by one, they scolded him. They couldn't be relied on at such a critical moment. The four of them only had so little money. Was it that difficult to earn money? Qin Lai and the others were also extremely wronged. They were usually active in the sect. After all, they did not need to spend money on the things in the sect. After all, they were not on a mission to earn money. Usually, the expenses of the sect were managed by specialized personnel. Most of the time, they spent on cultivation. Their meals were all taken care of by the sect. To be able to have so much money. They were all left over from scrimping and saving. Cough cough. Do you still want this medicinal ingredient? Lu Manxian said. Although these people were embarrassingly poor, it could be seen that they were not weak at all. Everyone's aura was faintly discernible and powerful. A Yuan general level powerhouse. There were actually 4 Yuan general level powerhouses beside this young man. From the looks of it, they seemed to hold this young man in high esteem. It wasn't because they were oppressed by Li Zongjiu's aura, but because they were subdued by his aura. Who knew what kind of charm this little Li Zongjiu had? Can I write a note? Qin Lai asked coldly. Who do you think you are to write a note for something worth more than 10 million gold coins? Lu Manxian couldn't refute him directly. She looked at Qin Lai apologetically. Her expression was already an answer. Here's a total of 1,700,000 gold coins. Take it as a deposit. I'll give you the rest tomorrow. Li Zongjiu pushed the money on the table over. He had no other choice now. Since he couldn't find so much money on himself, the Northern Medicine Alliance should have the same amount of money. Since the Northern Medicine Alliance was about to be destroyed, there was nothing to be afraid of. Of course. Lu Manxian said with a smile. She had the trainee girl put the money into the basket, and she wrote a receipt for it. This is the deposit. No need. Get it ready tomorrow. I'll take it when I see the money. Li Zongjiu stood up and said calmly. Then, he turned around and walked out. Lin Song and the others followed closely behind. After Li Zongjiu and the others left, Lu Manchuan's eyes lit up. The female trainee also looked at Lu Manxian hesitantly, her eyes filled with doubt. Chief, do you think they can afford it tomorrow? They only had one night. Even if they used some special method, they wouldn't be able to raise the remaining 10 million gold coins. The 1 million gold coins in their hands wasn't even enough to make up for the difference. I'm not sure. Our 1,000-taste herb hall is only in charge of buying and selling medicinal herbs. We don't need to care about other things. If they can't afford it, we'll just take the deposit. Lu Manxian was a proper businesswoman. Since you said it was a deposit, you can't afford it. She couldn't be blamed. When doing business, one had to pay attention to principles. They walked out of the 1,000-taste herb hall. Li Zongjiu said, let's go eat. But we don't have any more money. Qin Lai and the others looked a little embarrassed. They were here to support Li Zongjiu. They didn't know that they had to spend money. Moreover, they had worked hard to save that money. They had to admit that these people were really too poor. If they had eaten in the original restaurant, it wouldn't have cost more than a few thousand gold coins. But now, they were so poor that they couldn't afford any gold coins. All of it had been plundered by Li Zongjiu. I still have 6 silver coins. Let's eat noodles. Li Zongjiu touched his pocket. In the situation just now, Li Zongjiu couldn't take out the silver coins. Finally, the 5 of them came to a noodle stall. Each of them ordered a bowl of noodles. They spent 5 silver coins and got an extra silver coin. Li Zongjiu also bought a stack of salted vegetables. Qin Lai and the others never thought that they would end up like this. They had to eat noodles from a small stall here. If they were in Luoxia City, they could go to any family. Not to mention how much money they would receive, at least the food would be indispensable. In the end, it was indeed a little embarrassing to end up like this. Hey, you don't say. The noodles are quite delicious. The salted vegetables taste good too. Give me some too. When night fell, a cold wind blew from the sky to the ground. In front of a noodle stall. The 5 of them stood side by side and looked up at the tall loft in front of them. Boss, is this the Northern Medicine House? The people of the Northern Medicine Alliance are all here? Li Zongjil asked. Yes, this is the famous Northern Medicine House of our Northern Medicine City. It's imposing, right? But now it's closed and not open to the public. You have to line up at 7 tomorrow morning. The owner of the noodle stall said. Then, he looked at Li Zongjil and the others. A kid brought 4 old men to eat noodles at a noodle stall. Did they want to enter the Northern Medicine House to buy elixirs? But I still advise you not to line up. It's a waste of time. The elixirs inside are very expensive. Any one of them is enough to keep my stall open for 10 years. The old man said. It could be heard that the owner of the noodle stall was very sincere in persuading Li Zongjil and the others. He didn't have the slightest malice. Let's go. Li Zongjil directly led the 4 people to the Northern Medicine House. As soon as they got close to the Northern Medicine House, they saw 6 guards in blue clothes with long sabers at their waists. They reached out and blocked their way. It's closed now. No one is allowed to enter. Li Zongjil didn't stop. Seeing that Li Zongjil dared to ignore them, the 6 guards immediately snorted and drew out their sabers. The sound of the sabers was sonorous. However, before they could make a move, they felt a few tyrannical forces locking the 6 of them. Bang! 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 The 6 people were directly sent flying with a wave of his hand. They fell on the road and landed right in front of the noodle stall. The boss, who was below, jumped in fright. Boom! There was a loud noise. The 5-feet-tall bronze door of the Northern Medicine House that was tightly closed was torn apart in an instant. Chapter 184. This loud sound alarmed countless people. Some of the houses around the Northern Medicine Tower poked their heads out to see what had gone wrong. There was actually such a loud sound. By the time they saw it, they had already discovered that a pile of dust had risen from the top of the Northern Medicine Tower. The door had already been shattered into pieces. There was actually someone who dared to kill their way into the Northern Medicine Tower. Could it be that these people didn't know that the experts of the 2 sects were gathered here in the Northern Medicine Tower? Iron Leg Sect, Cold Light Sect. These 2 sects were both sects in the city. Not all sects placed their addresses on this mountain. Some sects' cultivation methods were focused on drawing in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Therefore, this address was set up deep in the mountains and forests. However, in reality, there were a portion of sects that couldn't afford to buy a house, couldn't afford to buy such a large area of land, couldn't afford to pay the rent, so they simply placed their sects in the mountains and forests. This way, they could also use the name of training their disciples, because in the wilderness, there would often be yuan beasts coming to visit them. However, in this city, at the very least, before this city was destroyed, you would definitely not be harmed in any way. Moreover, if the sect was in this city, it would be more convenient for many things, such as in terms of publicity. Thinking about it, if a sect was deep in the mountains and forests, if they wanted to rely on their reputation, who knew how much time it would take and how many peak experts they would need to achieve such a status? Let people be familiar with it. However, in this sect, if they were in this city, then they could casually do some publicity and cause a little bit of trouble. It would be enough to let most of the people in the city know about you. Of course, there were also drawbacks. After all, this way, the competition would be great. Sometimes, this conflict would even be very obvious. This was the Iron Leg Sect and the Cold Light Sect. In this area, they were also extremely famous. The sect master of the Iron Leg Sect was known as the Scorching Sun Leg. The sect master of the Cold Light Sect had a set of grade 3 origin skill, the Cold Light Sword technique. As long as he had such a consummate skill, he would be able to make a living in this city. This was a very normal thing. These two sects were also loyal friends of the Northern Medicine Alliance. The armed forces of the Northern Medicine Alliance were limited. Most of the people who came were alchemists. Otherwise, the Northern Medicine Alliance would have become the Yuan-Shur Alliance. Only those who were qualified could enter. Correspondingly, he would need some sects to protect him. Li Zongjiu and the other four walked in. The house had been cleaned and emptied. Even the windows were locked by heavy steel locks. Clearly, the other party had been prepared for this. Boom! Boom! The torches on the walls were instantly lit. The luminous pearls on the ceiling, the surrounding stone pillars, and the back of the counter also inadvertently revealed a trace of killing intent. Tap, tap, tap. A few figures appeared on the stairs ahead. The leader limped down the stairs with an iron leg and stood in the center. Staring at Li Zongjiu, the corners of his mouth curved into a sinister smile. His unkempt appearance made him look like a beggar from the countryside. How could such a person appear on such an occasion? However, it was this man with an iron leg who had kicked 13 opponents to death in the sacred martial arena of the Northern Medicine City. Finally, he stood on the arena and announced the establishment of the Iron Leg sect. His self-created peak grade 2 origin skill, Vajra Destruction Leg, had unparalleled power. This person was the leader of the Iron Leg sect, Guang Chenyuan. A group of country rats who can't even afford a meal want to cause trouble in the Northern Medicine Alliance. It seems that they really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Guang Chenyuan said coldly. Although Qin Lai and the others looked angry, they were also a little embarrassed. After all, they really couldn't afford a meal just now. Obviously, their movements were constantly monitored after entering the Northern Medicine City. What? You sent a cripple? Can you stand firm? Qin Lai had a fiery temper and directly retorted when he saw the situation. These words directly made Guang Chunyuan's expression turn sluggish. As the saying goes, people are most afraid of what they don't have. As a cripple, he naturally hated being called a cripple the most. Therefore, as long as someone dared to call him a cripple, he would use his crippled leg to show him what a cripple really was. Let's see how tough your mouth can be when death is at hand. Kill them. With a loud boom, a heavy stone that weighed millions of tons fell behind Li Zongjiu and the others, blocking the entrance. Li Zongjiu couldn't help but turn around to take a look at the huge commotion. Then, he looked over. I'll leave this place to you two elders, said Li Zongjiu. The two elders, Jin Shui and Wu Tong, nodded. Looking at these people, it seems that they have forgotten the name of the Fog Snow Pill sect. Just go ahead. Elder Wu Tong rolled up his sleeves, revealing a series of iron rings under his wrist. Light flowed from the iron rings. Don't even think about leaving. Guang Chenyuan coldly snorted, then leaped towards Li Zongjiu. Your opponent is me. Elder Wu Tong's arms suddenly shook. A strong air wave immediately formed in the surroundings, blocking Guang Chunyuan's path. His fists shook, and a waterspout was blasted out. Guang Chenyuan also turned around and kicked towards Elder Wu Tong. Boom! The collision and shock formed a terrifying aura. At the same time, from the surrounding dark corners, members of the Iron Leg sect rushed out to kill. These people all cultivated leg techniques and did not carry any weapons. Elder Jin Shui circulated his own origin energy, and a sharp metal sword was unsheathed from his hand. Boom! A fierce battle suddenly broke out on the ground floor. Li Zongjiu, Lin Song, and Qin Lai walked up the stairs together. The elders of the Iron Leg sect immediately wanted to stop Li Zongjiu. However, the aura of a 6th grade origin general burst out. In an instant, these people were sent flying. Li Zongjiu and Lin Song both went up to the 2nd floor. Behind them came the sound of vibrations. Qin Lai flipped his hand a few times and sent the elders of the Iron Leg sect flying. Then, he quickly caught up with Li Zongjiu's footsteps. The two were not at the same level. The elders of the Iron Leg sect were only at the first or second grade origin general level. The sect master, Guang Chunyuan, was also slightly stronger. He had the cultivation of a fourth grade origin general. However, he was firmly suppressed by Elder Wu Tong. The elders of the Fog Snow Pill sect often encountered a bottleneck in their cultivation, or when they wanted to comprehend some origin art or origin skill. They would directly go deep into the mountains and old forests to find some origin beasts to engage in a life and death battle. And these people who established their own sects in the city. Perhaps at the beginning, they would have a fierce aura. After all, only by taking one step at a time like this could they establish a foundation. However, after they succeeded, there would be more messy social interactions waiting for them. The fierceness on their bodies might have been ground away long ago. Naturally, he wasn't a match for these elders. Naturally, there were enemies waiting for them on the second floor. A person who claimed to be the sect master of the Cold Light sect. More than 20 sword experts were all blocking the staircase. I am the sect master of the Cold Light sect. Today, I ask that you leave your heads behind. Chapter 185. The sect leader of the Cold Light sect was the first to attack. The sword light in his hand surged. Seeing this, Li Zongjiu also smiled. To be able to find the technique to use this elemental energy, you can be considered pretty good. However, it's a pity that you should change your sword. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Zongjiu was the first to withdraw. He rushed to the side of the sect leader of the Cold Light sect. The 6-turn steel blade in his hand was suddenly pulled out. Shwa! Li Zongjiu's steel blade released an even more terrifying cold light. It was as if the light of this blade had already overshadowed the sect leader of the Cold Light sect. The saber force was ferocious. Clang! The sect leader of the Cold Light sect wanted to use the power of the Cold Light sword art to intimidate the three of them. However, he never thought that Li Zongjiu would be even faster, and would directly cut his sword in half with a single slash. Clang! What? The sect leader of the Cold Light sect was shocked. But in the next moment, he saw a black shadow flying towards him. It was Elder Qin Lai. Qin Lai's fighting style and intuition were also quite fierce and violent. After this figure approached, a flaming fist filled with elemental energy directly sent the sect leader of the Cold Light sect flying. Bang! With this loud sound, the sect leader of the Cold Light sect felt as if he had been hit by a 10,000-ton boulder, and his entire chest was in the middle of it. When the sect leader of the Cold Light sect landed on the ground, a flame lotus that had long been brewing was waiting for him. This was the might of the flames that Lin Song had released. Ah! So hot! The sect leader of the Cold Light sect immediately roared in shock. The three of them attacked and defeated the sect leader of the Cold Light sect in one move. Don't move! An elder of the Cold Light sect roared, and the disciples behind him also stopped. Let go of our sect leader and let you pass. This elder's eyes were also quite sharp. It was obvious at a glance that they were no match for the people in front of them. After all, to be enemies with these people was clearly a thankless task. If these people were just some hooligans, then it would be fine to take care of them. However, he did not expect these people to be so difficult to deal with. In fact, the two of them were not even on the same level. If they rushed forward recklessly, they would only end up being killed. The most important thing now was to protect the sect master. At the very least, he didn't want to be crippled. They had lost a sect master for nothing. Li Zongjiu gestured. Lin Sung raised his hand and extinguished the flame, leaving behind the sect leader of the Cold Light sect, who was almost charred black. The three of them swaggered through the crowd of cultivators. Although the cultivators were furious and wanted to take action to stop Li Zongjiu's group from leaving, after weighing the pros and cons, they dared not do anything other than glare at them and put on a ferocious front. Who would be able to block those moves just now? Quick, save the sect leader. Carry him down. The pitiful sect leader of the Cold Light sect had only been acting cool for a second before he was slapped in the face. No, this time, his face would probably be burned off. His fate was truly miserable. I don't have the mood to continue walking. Charge! Li Zongjiu raised his hand, and a wave of elemental energy brewed, and directly smashed towards the ceiling. Boom! Immediately, a beam of light broke through the roof of the northern medicine tower. The three of them leaped up and rushed towards the 6th floor. However, during this process, Qin Lai and Lin Sung both dealt with their enemies and charged towards the other floors. For a moment, there was a reign of terror. With the cover of the two elders, Li Zongjiu's figure landed on the 6th floor. The moment Li Zongjiu's figure landed on the ground, he felt a few waves of killing intent coming from behind him. Boom! Dozens of masked, black-clothed, and blood-rimmed people charged out from the darkness. Each of them carried an awe-inspiring killing intent. At the same time, the blade in his hand was incomparably sharp. Li Zongjiu could see that in the slightly lit area in front of him, there was a figure sitting there, as if he was in control of the entire situation in this pitch-black and chaotic environment. Everything was under his control as he calmly stared at Li Zongjiu, waiting for the moment his head fell to the ground. As for Li Zongjiu, the corner of his mouth also curled into a meaningful smile. Hee hee. The 6-turned steel blade in his hand flickered with an ice-cold light. It seemed that he had been brewing for a long time. When these people rushed out, Li Zongjiu had already swung his blade. Boom! A sword slashed out. Immediately, a person who was charging forward was sent flying. The weapon that was connected to his body was also broken into 2 pieces. Bang! Blood and internal organs splattered all over the ground. In the darkness, there weren't even any screams. Just like that, one of them was killed. The rest of them also charged forward. Boom! The person who attacked had clearly locked onto Li Zongjiu. His blade could clearly cut Li Zongjiu in half. However, when the blade fell, there was no resistance. Obviously, it didn't touch Li Zongjiu. What? Just as the person who attacked was puzzled, Li Zongjiu's appearance directly appeared in front of him. Seeing this, the person's heart trembled. In the next moment, he saw Li Zongjiu's blade slashing towards him. Crack! From head to toe, he was cut into 2 halves. At this moment, he could even clearly see the other half of his body moving away from him. Ha! The commotion in the darkness had been going on for quite a while. However, the sound of swords clashing was relatively rare. Most of the time, there were only muffled sounds of people falling to the ground. There were also sounds of people falling to the ground and splashing water. Fu Chunlei couldn't help but be shocked by this. So what was the situation now? Turn on the lights. Fu Chunlei said in a deep voice. Immediately, a subordinate lit up the lantern. Immediately, the interior of the building was brightly lit. However, under the light of the lantern, the blood-red color was revealed. When people saw it, they couldn't help but feel afraid. On the window, there was a long trail of blood. On the ground, there were also countless streams of blood gathered. There were also many internal organs scattered in the blood. Some things that looked like hearts seemed to be beating on the ground. The broken limbs were also involuntarily moving. Hiss! Fu Chunlei almost sucked in a breath of cold air. There were broken limbs everywhere. It was simply a hell on earth. Among the pieces of flesh and blood, a figure walked towards Fu Chunlei. His hands were already stained with scarlet blood. After putting the 6 revolution steel blade on the table, Li Zongjiu pulled out a chair and sat down. He sat down in front of Fu Chunlei. Just then, he saw a tea set in front of the table. Li Zongjiu poured 2 cups of tea. After drinking this cup, you can go on your way. Li Zongjiu pushed the cup of tea over. His eyes were filled with indifference and mockery. Fu Chunlei also felt his throat dry up. He was someone who had more or less seen bloody storms. However, this was the first time he saw someone who could sit still like a mountain in this bloody storm. The person who caused this hellish scene was actually here to discuss drinking tea with him. Send me on my way. Your Excellency, aren't your words too full of yourselves? Although Fu Chunlei was shocked that Li Zongjiu was able to kill all these black-clothed guards by himself as if they were cabbages, he already had a trump card. He wasn't afraid. It wouldn't be so easy to take his life. Just as Fu Chunlei finished speaking, Li Zongjiu had already reached out and grabbed the steel blade. He didn't move from his original position and directly slashed out with the blade. A grade 7 Yuan Master's Yuan energy poured into the blade aura. With a swoosh, Fu Chunlei's head was cut off. It was directly smashed into pieces by Li Zongjiu's blade. Bang! Blood flying sword. Li Zongjiu didn't use the blade for this move. Instead, he used the side of the blade. It was like slapping garlic with a kitchen knife. Fu Chunlei's head directly turned into countless pieces of blood and flesh. His 2 eyeballs also rolled on the ground like glass beads. Blood splattered everywhere. Li Zongjiu picked up the cup of tea on the table and took a sip. The puppet is already dead. Why aren't you showing yourself? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.